Hare Krishna. Prabhu, do you know how to put the screen on?
We can try it together. I'm not so expert.
I don't know how to operate the remote.
I'm going to be late. What is it on today?
I can't even see the remote.
Let me see it probably.
This one?
Xander Prabhu, I think, is here. He might know a little bit more. He should be coming shortly. I just saw it.
Yeah, I think he might be going on group distribution. Yeah.
He can help set up before he goes. Let me just quickly go.
Do you have remotes for this thing?
The television?
Yeah, there is no remote we can see.
These ones here.
Oh.
Hidden in plain sight.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's on its phone. He knows how to do
Let's
this.
be careful. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, this is connected. Okay, so we'll all begin with Mangalacharan prayers. In the meantime, the screen is getting set up. You want to close that door, please? Thank you so much.
Okay.
Technology, exactly. Is it even switched on from somewhere? Yeah, lights on. Yes. Something's happening.
Maybe it's just taking time.
I've never seen this to be hanging like this.
I think it is. Sometimes it's plugged in here, but we take it out for this.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's just taking time.
Maybe it's-
For a change, Nayan Prabhu, you're the first one to come. You're right.
Krishna woke me up, some miracles you're talking in your class last week, because there's rail replacement service.
Okay.
And I got up extra special early, and I'm like, why? I needed to rest today. It's a long week. And then I was so grateful when I got to the station. Also, we coming at 12 today.
Good. See?
Krishna is very kind.
That will be wrong.
No, it's just one of these doesn't work.
Thank you.
Expert.
Expert, honestly. Otherwise, I would have been struggling. Okay. So Xander Prabhu has, by his some mystic powers, he has managed to sort the television out, and we can now have the presentation on the television here. So we'll begin with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Trinadapi Sunichena Tarora Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari. So welcome everyone to the penultimate session, hopefully, of the Bhagavad Gita. So I just wanted to first begin with summarizing what we studied in the 17th chapter. Anyone remembers what we studied in the 17th chapter?
The essence is that the modes in which you carry out a religion are more important than the title of the religion.
Yes. Wonderful.
And then we looked at different austerities, charity, sacrifice, and penance under the different modes. How they manifest.
Austerities, charities, sacrifices, and
Penance.
no.
Food. Was it food?
Food is eating. ACES.
Yeah.
ACES is the acronym. So austerity, charity, eating habits, and sacrifices. So very nice. Thank you, Abhijit Prabhu. Anyone else remember what we studied in the 17th chapter?
We also looked at the modes a little bit as well.
Modes. In connection with the modes. Do you remember anything specific?
In the sense that all of these activities are in reference to the modes. So if we like eating, it's reference to the modes.
In the modes.
Charity in the modes.
In the modes.
Austerity
in the modes. Okay. So, okay. Does anyone remember what was the name of the chapter? Divisions of Faith. Okay. Good. At least that is clear. It was called Divisions of Faith. What else? Any specific thing that stood out for anyone? Any realizations? If you manage to touch reading the chapter or even remember anything.
But if you totally do worship basically people like Donald Trump or Adolf Hitler, you're in a mode of passion, potentially mode of ignorance. And if you don't follow the rules of scriptures and do it your own way, then it leads back to the 16th chapter. You're in a sort of asuric in the way you manifest your faith. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes.
Also, we spoke about the different types of faiths and what modes they go into.
Different types of faiths and what modes they go into. What faiths did we discuss? Do you remember?
I think we looked basically at the major world religions.
What? Okay.
Without like pinpoint pushing them in. But
yes.
We showed that these are the characteristics.
Yes.
These are the modes. So how do they change them?
Wonderful. Anyone else? Anishwar Prabhu, Anvesha Mataji, Kush, Sohail, and Brandon Prabhu.
I personally found it really interesting to find how much of it is scientific in terms of it's not the understanding of what the absolute dharma is and what real religion is. It's not, it's not ambiguous. It's very clearly defined, and it's not just that's clearly defined. All the subcategories of that via the different modes are very clearly defined in such a precise way that we'd be able to, upon observing someone's habits and lifestyle, regardless of what religion they follow and name, you'll be able to understand where they're at in their state of consciousness.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is precisely
That's what you wanted him to say, right?
basically you should be able to evaluate walking person on the street just by 4 things, which are aces. And so there is no fight, right? The big problem is there is fight because we have these labels, bottles of religions, right? Coca-Cola, Fanta, Pepsi, and all these bottled religions. Now, Bhagavad Gita is telling you don't divide people like that. Don't say that all of Judaism has a problem, all of Christianity has a problem, all of Hinduism has a problem, all of Islam has a problem. Just see the person and evaluate the person across these 4 things. Then you will precisely know what are the coordinates of the person. And one thing which is also missing, which I think no one has so far raised, is you could also be peaceful and prosperous in each of the different religions in the world that you see. Because if you follow the books, now some of the books have pretty ghastly things in them, but still, you know, people, they subscribe to certain religion, but they don't follow all of the things which are there in the book. You know, they are still situated differently in the modes. So don't judge them. If you have to judge them, go through these filtration processes, which Bhagavad Gita is explaining. Okay. Anything else, anyone remembers before we move on to the next session?
Could we say it's perception or is not perception? It's actual fact, because in the sense that if someone looked here and they dug a bit deeper and they're saying, well, these guys are drinking cow urine in the morning.
Yes.
Boys, no, let's take a step away from this.
Yes, yes.
Heathens and the ghastly people, but then there's
Yes.
science. So
Okay.
same ways, you know, we may take a look and think, what is this that they do?
Yes, yes, yes. And then we went into extreme details of food habits. 17th chapter was 2 sessions. The number of verses in 17th chapter is 28 only. The number of verses in 16th chapter is also similar. 15th chapter is slightly smaller. 14th chapter is slightly bigger. So all these chapters were finished in 1 session, but 17th we took 2 sessions because we had to go in a lot of details around food habits, charity habits.
No, specifically.
We went in great details of milk. Anyone remembers what did we discuss about milk?
There's lots of different cows
Yes.
feeding Krishna. Some of them are very elevated souls in Vrindavan, and the quality of how the cow is treated will impact on the sattvic quality of the milk and milk products and
Yes.
that sort of thing.
What
And
types?
you know,
Different types of milk.
Yeah, as in like you've got camel, buffalo, sheep, yak.
Yes.
Camel.
Cow, buffalo, sheep, yak, halloumi, paneer, cheese.
and some animals don't have indefinite supply of milk, so
Correct.
it's not in a good mode like sheep's milk or goat's
Yes.
milk.
Yes. Yes, Brandon Prabhu.
So I was just gonna, Abhijit Prabhu said what I was just about to say about the sheep's milk and goat's milk, but what I did want to say about that is interesting enough, you know, with the vegan arguments is normally like, oh, we shouldn't take from cows because they're just for their calves. But I really, it's beautiful how the Vedas work with this, that actually they do bear that in mind. That is a consideration because it's, you know, with these other animals where they have a less of a supply, it's not advised. So it's not just like, you know, it doesn't play into that paradigm of its animal exploitation. I
Yes.
really like that.
Yes, if you study if you ask questions to some of the religionists, you know, just on this point, if you ask them why pig is bad to eat, then they will have some reasons. Then if you ask them why it is bad to kill why is it not sinful to kill a cow, they will tell you the cows have no soul in them. You know, they will say animals have no soul in them. But if you go back to Vedas, everything, they should be backed with some scientific evidence. Generally in Veda, 99% times things are backed by scientific evidence. Apart from Krishna's color is blue. Now, why is Krishna's color blue?
Hello. Can I have a decaf oat mocha, please? A large one. Yeah, take one. Yeah, take one.
Lisa Mataji, are you on mute or are you speaking?
Sorry, sorry, Prabhu. No, I'm not on mute.
Okay, okay. You were saying something?
No, sorry, Prabhu.
Okay. All right. So generally 99% of the things in Vedic system, they are backed by some research. And you will be amazed that whatever reasoning you can find in one place is re-referenced in another generation, in another timeline, like thousands of years separated. And the same thing is cross-referenced. This is how the science works. You cross-reference and you produce secondary or higher level of intelligence from the basic level of intelligence. So that whole system becomes self-backed because there is cross-referencing. You can't pull out one thing because the fundamental basis then becomes flawed. And if another Rishi Muni is saying something which is completely different, then they will back it with their own reasoning if they criticize. And we will see two very powerful schools of thoughts which are conflicting in today's session, just around this point. Okay.
It's not dogmatic.
It's not dogmatic. Yes. Wonderful point. Yes. What else did we, apart from food, milk, what else did we study?
But the milk is they're saying they're not eating a pig, right? They're doing it it's not clean and from a human perspective.
Yes.
The Vedas is like your mother is looking at it from the overall perspective, the animal husbandry and the welfare of the animal, not just for the human is clean animals, very clean animals.
Correct.
To actually kill it and eat it. No. So it's slightly lacking there.
Yes, and then we also studied, you mentioned about soil erosion and soil quality. World Health Organization is really pushing for soil quality because it is depleting extremely fast. And they are worried, the population being expanding, they are worried that we wouldn't be able to produce grains. Prabhupada mentions that we produce so much grains that actually we have to throw it in oceans. It's a fact. So much grains we produce that America has to throw them in the ocean
to keep the price up.
To keep the price maintained. So the problem is not really of the so in essence we discussed about soil quality, how cows, simply them walking in the field can improve the oxygen quality of the soil, and when they urinate, their urine is antiseptic, antibacterial. So therefore we also recommend drinking urine of the cow, but that is boiled. It's not just sold directly. It has to be boiled and then sold. And that is antiseptic, that will help you. It is acidic in nature, so small quantities have to be taken. Now, if anyone does research on this, they are welcome to. There are already published papers on these. No one can come and challenge, oh, this is not the case. It's cow urine, it's yuck. Okay, hang on, it's not yuck. You did a scientific research into it. No, you did not. If so, you should also be able to back it up by showing them relevant papers online about the research. So we discussed cow in detail, we discussed food grains in detail. What else did we discuss? 4 ACEs. We discussed them in quite a lot of details. Charity in the mode of passion, ignorance, and in goodness. The specific charity in the mode of passion, which most of the people can actually relate to, is they give charity, and after giving charity, they feel bad about it. Oh, I gave more. I should have just given a little bit less. So any charity which gives you a cause of some complaint after doing the charity was done in the mode of passion. Simple, full stop. There is no further discussions to be had. If you feel that you made a charity, but now after giving the charity, oh, if I should have given less, oh, this way, if I would have given, it would have been better. Devamrit Maharaj explains there are 2 types of people, maximizers and satisficers. Maximizer is one who basically goes on a holiday to New York, and after going on a holiday to New York, thinks that, oh, it would have been great if I went to Florida because, it's raining here. So they have spent all this $8,000, but now they want to go to Florida. And if they were in Florida, they would have thought, oh, it would have been great if I would have been in Lake District, Peak District. So the maximizers, they are always trying to maximize and they are never satisfied. And satisficers are like, okay, I have now Satisfies are like, now, okay, I've now come to Lake District, Peak District. It doesn't matter whether I paid 2,000 or $100 extra. Now I'm here, I'm just satisfied. Whatever I've gotten, I'm satisfied. So he mentions about these two categories of people. And this is also very relevant with charity. Charity, it is also said that if you give charity by right hand, your left hand should not know it. So if you are going around telling people, oh, I made this much amount of charity, but Nayan Prabhu raised the point that it's sometimes inspiring for people to know that someone has done charity. Yeah, that is definitely a true case. But the person who is doing charity should not get affected, should not feed the bad dog and the good dog. If they feed the bad dog, then the false ego is going to pump up like a balloon.
Does that apply even then?
Just for clarity, if you
Go on, Abhijit Prabhu.
so if you go book distribution and then you come back home and you think, I could have given out more books, I didn't engage with people properly, I regret the way I did some of it. That's obviously a mode of goodness, right? It's not mode of passion.
That's different.
Book distribution, you have to go through a deep learning curve. If you think coming back home, I could have given it this way, it's just reflection process. You are reflecting on what you did wrong, what you did right. If you're thinking that I was too boasty or too pumpy, want to pump up my makes good sales, immediate sales, yes, that's a good kind of a reflection. And because every individual has these modes in them, by default you will have some modes in them in yourself. So you will end up sometimes, and if you are out on book distribution doing it for the whole day, you will see that in the morning when you go, streets are peaceful and empty. So then your book distribution starts like that. Then afternoon comes and streets become really busy. Then you see that suddenly you have to bump up your energy to a level. And then the evening, people are becoming very tired, tamasic, and want to eat something. And you will see you still have to bump up your energy a little bit more. So, and in the night, people are in complete tamas. So you will find drunkards who will just give you money and they'll take the book. And they might just throw the book. Because really they are not into any book or anything. You have not actually given them knowledge. You just sold them some good vibes. You sold them some, you've sold them your purity to them. You are looking cool, nice, completely pure, and they are looking like, in disoriented state. And they like see you in awe and reverence, or monk, or a nice guy. So therefore, the modes act on a person. Even someone who is in the mode of goodness, if they are on the street from morning till night, they will see modes acting on them. And that's the most powerful way to see the modes in the naked state, how they're acting on you. How you get controlled by modes without you doing conscious activities. Just to become fully conscious of how modes are acting, one should try this exercise. Go early in the morning, stay till like late evening out on streets, and just at every point in time see how modes are making you act. So, and then at the end of the day, you come and reflect what Abhijit Prabhu you were mentioning. That is a reflection. And if you see yourself more getting affected by modes, then essentially you try and change it. You were saying something then, Prabhu?
You both mentioned a point in terms of how you feel and your perception to the giving that charity. But what if it's in reference to the other person, in the sense that you give and then you're like, yeah, but he might waste it, throw it away, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's included as well, right?
Yeah, that is mode of ignorance. So charity in the mode of ignorance is like you give the charity and you think, oh, they need my money. They need my money. And so you think that the people you're giving charity to are lower and you are the giver, because the hand of the taker is below and the hand of the giver is above. But actually charity in the mode of goodness, the person knows that maybe my hand is above and his hand is below, but actually the situation is reverse. I need purification. So I need to give this money. And the hand of the taker is thinking, okay, I'll take this money and utilize it for the benefit of the humankind. So that is a different situation. That is the charity in the mode of goodness. But what you just mentioned is charity in the mode of ignorance, darkness. Prabhupada uses the word darkness.
More than passion.
It's ignorance.
If you have a judgment on the person.
Yeah, the giver, if they think, oh, I'm giving and they are taking. And to this understanding, a very beautiful pastime is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Lord instructs King Indra to go to Dadichi Muni and ask Dadichi Muni his bones, because from the bones of Dadichi Muni, this Vajra will be formed. And so to test Indra, Dadichi Muni first partially says that for everyone, body is very important. Who is going to give body? People actually try to preserve the body till the very last breath. So why do you expect that I'm going to give my body to you? I'm not going to give, Hare Krishna. I'm not necessarily going to give my body to you. And in this relation, Indra then responds. Indra says that if the giver of the charity knew that the person who is begging for the charity is in a real need of the charity, then the giver will never say no. And similarly, if the giver of the charity, but the beggar of the charity knows that the person who is asking for the charity actually has no capability to give charity, then the beggar would not ask that person. So he is explaining the two mentalities, both of the giver, and Prabhupada writes in purport that those who are not able to give charity, one should not ask them for charity, because it causes them sin. Okay, and therefore we came on to this point, when in temples, if you see people pushing for charity, that's not good. Pushing for donations, that's not good. You have to not push, you can say it.
Proviso, there's G7 country here, so even someone is not working, they still got 20p, 50p a pound. It's not like in India on the side of the
Yes.
literally
nothing.
So just encourage them, because they'll get the benefit. Not that we're desperate for your £5 that you give.
Correct.
You will make some advancement.
That's right. You make advancement by giving charity. That's the essential purpose of charity, is your purification. Once Bhakti Brihat Bhagavat Maharaj was here in the morning class, and he asked a very pertinent question. He asked, what is the purpose of book distribution? And I was a young lad. I said, to spread the movement all across the globe. You are like enthusiastic. You want to make everyone Krishna conscious. You like Krishna so much. You're thinking, oh, everyone should get Krishna. So, and then there are a lot of people like me, and everyone gave their answers. They gave their answers to double the book distribution, to double it up. And some of us, they said, so we do book distribution so that we can bring Lakshmi to the temple, and then use that Lakshmi to print more books, make the whole world Krishna conscious. Some said, we want to put Hare Krishna on the map, on the global map. And one of my colleague devotees, he also had like a world map where he was targeting, coloring up the whole globe where we are distributing books and how many people are chanting Hare Krishna. So he was actually doing this scatter map, which becomes red across the globe. So all kinds of answers were given. And at the last, Maharaj said, you do book distribution for your own purification. For your own purification, because in the youth, we don't understand that we are not purified. And we were all like, oh, for my own purification. I thought I am completely pure, like, 24 karat gold. Then, and when I was also very young, one great teacher from Mayapur was visiting, and he was giving teaching about Bhagavatam systematically. So after he taught first canto, some first few chapters, then the next session, he would ask us, what was the summary of the first chapter? And like Abhijit Prabhu, I knew everything. Once I heard from someone, I could remember everything what they said. So I just told them everything as it is, completely, like the whole chapter summarized in 10-15. He didn't stop me, because in Manchester, people are not in mode of passion, people have time. So he just let me flow. Sometimes you have to let someone flow so that they can take it out and they become a peaceful human being. So the burden is out. So he let me flow, and I completely flowed, and he was amazed. And then he told me one line. Then he told me that, Prabhu, you have a very good memory. I said, yeah, Prabhuji, I have a very good memory. Like you. No problem. Like a fool. So yeah, I have very good memory. Then he said, okay, wait for the right time when you will understand things. And now I understand, after like almost 10-12 years, what he was saying was so true. That in the beginning, we think that we are perfect, but only when we go through the modes, when we realize and actually understand the modes, then we see how much impure we are and how much work needs to be done. So this chapter of Bhagavad Gita Sorry, coming back to summarization of charity, and then there was sacrifices, and then there was aces, right? Austerities. Yeah, austerities, they should not be done to, for self-aggrandizement, not to harm the body, because we also see devotees doing austerities on a regular day, like complete austerity, not eating the food. Therefore, their body becomes acidic in nature sometimes, or sometimes they become too weak. And sometimes devotees have to go on Ekadashi and do a lot of extreme services like loading up the bookman, or even for a grihastha, they have extreme days on a Ekadashi. Sometimes they have to go back to office, they have to walk like 2 hours or 1 hour, and then they have a very hectic day, and then by the time it's evening, their head is aching, or they're listless, they don't have any energy, and no energy to chant. Whereas if they just took very something little, they would have good energy, fully recharged, and they could have chanted nice rounds. So we don't do unnecessary austerities. Austerities that are meant to be done Ekadashis, they can be done, they should be done. And one Mataji, Anvesh Mataji, was asking about Bhishma Panchak austerity. And so I told you I remember everything. Well, almost everything, not everything. So
great at school, man.
no, it's Krishna's mercy. He can give and he can take. So I beg.
Just go once and it's there now.
No. Beggar should not be proud of his beggings, because it's coming from someone else. So essentially, Bhishma Panchak, Prabhupada, it's important those who can do austerity should do it. But Prabhupada never stressed so extensively on austerities, because life is generally tough. And, if you do austerity and then you end up losing your Krishna consciousness, it's even more bad. But those who are now situated in purified state, then they can continue to do more and more higher level of austerities. One should never be satisfied with charity and austerity. Okay, these are two contrasting views I'm presenting. This second view I'm presenting is for people who are advancing progressively in spiritual life. One should never be satisfied with austerity and charity. Charity, if you have given in the heart, you should always think, oh, I wish I could have given a little bit more. I wish I had more, I could have given them a little bit more. But don't give and then regret, oh, I have nothing for myself, and now how am I going to pay my electricity bills? That's in ignorance. That's not recommended.
Can we say, in terms of these activities, but in terms of consciousness, what we said before is that stadium, like
yes,
your mind should be equiposed. If it's making it fluctuate, then you might have done something wrong.
Yeah, it's likely in the mode of passion. Okay, so that is charity and austerity also. Because Brahma started creation with austerity. The first word at the beginning of creation was tapa. So everyone is supposed to practice some austerity. Austerity and charity are those which pinch you a little bit. This is people would say, oh, I was doing austerities, but then while doing austerities, you gave up your household chores, for example. Say for an Ekadashi, you're doing an austerity, but then on the Ekadashi, oh, I don't want to put the bins out. I don't want to clean the lawn. I don't want to do this. I'll do it tomorrow. You just postpone things, because what happens is you don't have enough energy, or you want to that is not necessarily austerity. You should be able to continue doing your normal chores. Along with it, you should be able to do austerity. That you are able to do, not that you're not able to do. Then that is called austerity.
Has to be dovetailed to Krishna consciousness as well.
Correct.
Not just in isolation.
Not in isolation.
Just fast for my body.
That's it. And when the proper austerity is done at the higher stage, then there is empowerment by the Lord. There is appreciation by the Lord. You will feel appreciated by doing this austerity. You will get this feeling. I'm not saying someone will come and tell you, but you will get this feeling. You will get appreciation. You will get empowerment. You will have a vision. You will have divine vision to see things a little bit deeper. So that these are the benefits of austerity. And this is exactly the benefit which Brahma got. So Brahma, he was given a vision onto how to create the material nature. Similarly, Dhruva, when he did austerities in 6 months in the forest, he was given a vision that his material needs are just tiny fragments of broken glasses. So you get a vision you get an empowerment after doing a proper austerity. Empowerment means you will be able to do what you're supposed to do in devotional service. And you get appreciation from the Lord. You feel greatly satisfied in the heart after doing that austerity, to an extent that you want to do that again next time. But if you have tortured your body, not out of love, but out of determination or duty, then next time the same austerity will be still, it will remain pinching. But if you've done austerity out of love, then next time the austerity comes in the mind, you will think, okay, the austerity is here. I have done it last time. And I remember how nice reciprocation or how nice I felt. And this way you forget your pains because you now have higher experience. So that is the nature of true, proper austerity in the mode of goodness. Okay, so austerities, charity we discussed, food habits we discussed, eating.
So it gives you a lot of encouragement to do it.
Correct.
If you do something like climbing a mountain, it's difficult, but when you've done it, you feel like I've done it. But
Yes.
there's the reciprocation. But here the Lord is personally reciprocating
Correct.
beyond that.
Correct. That's right. When you're climbing a mountain, if you have climbed a mountain with extreme pain and effort, it's a big problem, because next time you want to climb a mountain, you remember the pain and effort that you had to go through. But if you're while climbing the mountain, you were just doing it out of duty and the pains are there, you're taking the pain, but at the same time, you are walking at the higher platform than the pain. You are rejoicing the process of climbing the mountain. Same goes with chanting. If you're rejoicing the process of chanting, but if the chanting is like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. And this happened to me when Real Bhakti Bhagavad Maharaj took a 64 round a day. He said that, okay, let's all come together and on one of the days, we'll do 64 rounds. And we started early in the morning, like 5 a.m. after the Mangal Aarti. And then a lot of people finished like by 10. And I went on like till night 10 o'clock because I just couldn't do it. Every round was like a big stone on my face. I realized I had no interest in chanting actually. Maybe I had interest in other things in the temple, but I had no interest in chanting. So that experience made me to decide that I'll never do 64 again. Because it was so bad as an experience, I can't tell you. I was tired, exhausted. Even after taking so much prasad, my mouth couldn't chant. It just couldn't chant. So then I never chanted 64 rounds since that time ever. That was like 12 years ago, maybe more than that. So therefore, when you go through austerities, you have to make sure the process is joyful. So, and if you go through austerities without being Krishna conscious, without actually speaking with the Lord in your lingo, then the process will not be joyful. Then you will feel the pain. Yes.
Sorry, in the Bhagavad Gita somewhere it says austerities brackets is japa as well. As japa is austerity, right? Chanting. So that is obviously in different modes. Mode of ignorance. So what is mode of ignorance? Just chanting for the sake of it? I don't know. What would that be?
Chanting. Sleeping and chanting.
Okay, right.
When you are completely unaware, and actually mode of ignorance is also when you are chanting and you for like at stretch for 10, 15, 20 minutes and even hours, or sometimes it ends up even many days and months. You are chanting, but you have absolutely no remembrance of Krishna. As soon as you chant, you just thinking about driving, shopping, work, management, chores of day to day. So you actually have no conversation with the Lord. You just chant. And in the beginning stages of chanting, specifically someone who has had no established relationship with the Lord, then they need some more effort into chanting. And when I say effort, they have to sit in front of a picture of the Lord, focus and meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, or actually do some mindful techniques before, or read Srimad Bhagavatam, or, read pastimes of the Lord. And I had to go through similar things. I would sit in front of the picture, but there are a lot of devotees which Sachinandan Maharaj takes on retreats for chanting. One should go to them because this way you develop your relationship with the Lord. Relationship with the Lord of the loving nature comes through music is much easy to get into your heart. So once you establish that relationship, then you like that relation, then you have to continue to nurture that relationship. Small nurturing every day. So then over a period of time, after 10 years, it becomes like a big mountain. And then you are in front of a mountain and you want to be in front of that mountain every single morning, because just taking the name of Krishna brings so much joy to your heart. Because when you use this word, you have the full context of every situation, every time how Krishna has helped you, where Krishna has helped you. Your memory becomes strong. Your remembrance of Krishna becomes strong. Your everything to do with the day-to-day activities, you start seeing Krishna in everything. You see Krishna's hand in everything. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita anyways, that there is my hand in everything, but people can't see it. But as devotees start to build up on their spiritual investments, they realize the returns are outweighing everything in their life. And then after quite a few number of these years, they realize that okay, this is the best thing ever that they have done in their life, is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The life gives you a lot of problems, it will throw you, but at least continued chanting through all different modes that you are in, because you have acquired nature, swabhav, and in that acquired nature you are going to chant in certain ways, and it is going to be either easier or difficult. Individual situations will vary. But the point is, those who stick to it, initially, just as the fire is burning, initially you have a smoke. So there is a lot of smoke. And when smoke comes, eyes are burning, we are coughing. So that is initial days of chanting. And once the fire is properly lit up in the wood, then you can see the fire. It gives you light, heat, and it's big in size. It also comforts others. That's why they say before going on book distribution, do your japa nicely. Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to do a japa workshop on Wednesday, so that's why I'm asking this. One more question. So if I'm doing japa for the sake of doing japa, just for the sake of it, then that's mode of goodness. But if I'm doing japa because I want to be with Krishna in the holy name, is that above the modes?
Yes,
Is that the way?
That is Shuddha Sattva.
Yeah.
Whenever, people ask sometimes, oh Prabhu, how do I know I've come out of the modes? You will never come out of the modes till you have this body, or you are in liberated stage, Brahma Bhuta stage. In Brahma Bhuta stage, you will be like a coconut, loosened coconut. But till that point, the body is always under the modes. The only time it is not in the modes is when you are consciously remembering Krishna. Consciously remembering Krishna. And one of the benediction, after reading 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita attentively, if you have done it properly, then you are worshipping Krishna by intelligence. Krishna says this, those who study Bhagavad Gita properly from beginning to end, they are worshipping me through their intelligence, not through paraphernalia that you see on the altar. There are flowers, there is incense. That is one worship. Another worship is reading Bhagavad Gita properly, intellectually, in association of devotees, meditating upon it, pondering on it. Just like last week, Abhijit Prabhu could remember something from the very previous chapters, like third chapter or something. That's because he actually read that properly and it stayed within his heart, because he meditated on it, reflected upon it, chewed upon it for many days. And then that stayed with him. The things that stay with you are the things that you work with. And so now when we were discussing 9th and 10th and 14th chapter, that has stayed, and he can cross-reference them. And this is the beauty of Krishna. Any time you spend with Krishna reciting shlokas, understanding him, questioning, counter-questioning, assimilating, thinking about him on the same one point or same few points, that stays with you. That is Krishna chunked up and taken forever, is ever going to stay with you. That means in future, whenever you come across relevant knowledge related to it or new knowledge, you will be able to refer back, and now you will have a deeper realization. So any moment spent with Krishna is Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva meaning with complete absorption, not with partial absorption. Okay, I'm thinking of Krishna, chanting of Krishna, I'm thinking of Krishna, but at the same time, at the back of my mind, my half thoughts are towards my children or towards my work. That is again mixed with modes. Full absorption means you will never know how much time has passed. That is a state one has to achieve. You will not know how much time has passed. And when you open the eyes, you will realize that maybe nothing has passed. Like hardly 1 minute or hardly 30 seconds. Or you will realize that hours and hours have passed. Hours and hours have passed and you didn't know what has happened. Such experiences people get on book distribution or when they are completely absorbed reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita or any spiritual books. that you actually don't keep the watch with you, don't keep the mobile with you. You start and you're relishing, and you don't know when the hours have gone. So that state is Shuddha Sattva. And that Shuddha Sattva that you have earned, it stays with you. That experience stays with you, and you want to do it again. And when you continue to do the same activity over and over again, that becomes solidified as Nitya Naimitiki Kriya, your Nityam Kriya, meaning everyday chore, that has become transcendental. That changes you as a human being. Otherwise, you will keep struggling with the modes all the time. But spending time with Krishna, there is no further powerful thing than that. Thank you for that question.
Actually,
Ajit. Yes.
I just for people's, may help people, may not help people. So for this course, I mean, I read the chapter before we did the chapter, and then I checked I have an audio book with the commentary, so then I did the whole thing, maybe twice, and then I did the chapter. So like I needed to get for me, otherwise it wouldn't go in, because I'm too stupid.
I'm reading your and Cecily Mataji's essays, by the way. I'll be scoring them soon. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
That was rushed. I know.
They've submitted their unit essays.
Are you ready?
They have submitted it, yes. And I'm reading them and scoring them soon. But this is not to embarrass the rest of you, but to congratulate them. Okay, so we move on. Otherwise, yes, Prabhu.
So this like Ekadashi and this Kartik Vrat, so on the path of advancement, very, very helpful in terms of this devotional austerities, make huge difference.
Huge difference, yeah. Austerities will, as I said, as you're progressing in spiritual life, you want to do more and more austerities, you want to do more and more charities. You want to reduce your eating. Like Goswamis would eat only like a drop of buttermilk. So, but we follow Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami didn't recommend that completely. Reduction is needed, but no necessary to go to extremes unless you are in that state. Because you can achieve that state even in this body as you are with your normal duties, everything balanced and everything in no extremes. That is still possible. And that's the easiest way to achieve the Supreme. Okay, so I think we have done decent level of discussion on the 17th chapter. And then the homework from the 17th chapter is go back and whatever faith you are born in, evaluate these 4 practices, ACEs, austerities, charities, eating habit, and sacrifices in your own faiths, and understand in what modes your faiths are situated. And then, you can do further kinds of exercises depending on people in your own faiths and what level they're practicing. Okay, so we begin with 18th chapter, which is conclusion. So this is the key of the chapter. We won't be able to go through all of the 18th chapter, but we will be able to go through first 40 verses. And in this, the 18th chapter begins with inquiry of Arjun. First 6 chapters, there was a stress on devotional service. I think you guys are not able to see it properly. Let me just... So Krishna presents conclusion here, and then first 6 chapters, Krishna stresses on devotional service, and the key verse is Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhavan yo bhajate mam same yukta tamo mataha. So that verse, Yoginam api sarvesham, that of all the yogis, the best one is one who is in connection with me, who is always abiding with me, and who is residing with me in connection. So that verse is the fundamental verse of the first 6 chapters. 7 to 12, Krishna spoke about pure devotional service. What do devotees do? How do they live? What do they do? And 12th chapter, last few verses, they are the most beautiful verses one should always recite or remember. And then 13 to 18, Krishna started with knowledge renunciation. 13th chapter, 6 questions by Arjun. And then 14th chapter, Krishna spoke more about modes. 15th chapter, Krishna explained more about material nature and how it is bad not to be entangled in the material. To know where you have to go, you have to know what is not good right now. So that's what he explains it. In 15th chapter, he establishes his position. And 16th chapter, Krishna goes further in the modes of nature. 17th chapter, Krishna starts to explain divisions of faith. Because, in 16th chapter, Krishna conclusively established as concluding verse that you should tasmat shastram pramanam. Take Shastra as pramanam or as evidence. and not just take it as an evidence. It's vidhan uktam. Vidhan means laws. So take scriptures as your basis and live your life accordingly. Choose what to do and what not to do according to scriptures. Then 17th chapter, Arjun said, what about people who are in between, who partially follow scriptures, don't follow the scriptures, follow some other scriptures? And that's exactly the question of the modern day. You know, so what about Christianity? What about Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, other Buddhism? You know, so many religions. What should I follow? And Krishna says, okay, look at this as someone entering a sweet shop and they have got so many options. You know, how that one person is going to choose what sweet to eat is not dependent on how good the sweet is. It's dependent on what mode the person is in or what person likes. So the person is going to be in certain mode. So continued from 16th chapter. 17th chapter was a really good one, and aces are really important, and this will help us to not be in any conflictory situations in our own lives. Now 18th chapter, Krishna presents conclusion, but the problem is that 18th chapter, it begins with Arjuna's question, and Arjuna is asking question that, okay, what is the difference between renounced order of life or sannyas and renunciation? So he's asking a question to Krishna, what is difference between renunciation and renounced order of life? Renounced order of life is sannyas, and renunciation literally means tyag, or to give up. So what do you think? Why? First and foremost, I'll not ask you what's the difference between the two, giving up or renunciation versus renounced order of life. I'll ask you, why did Arjun suddenly ask a very completely different question? Like, this is like out of the blue. Krishna has explained modes of nature, faith under modes, you know, how Krishna is the knower of the body, and soul is the knower of the body. What is the Krishna's position is higher. But now suddenly, all of a sudden, Arjun is coming, asking him question about renunciation and renounced order of life. Why do you think? What's happening here?
Something along the lines of people that have already done all these previous steps. How do they think and behave?
How do they think and behave? Someone who has done these previous steps.
Yes, so they've done 16, whatever actions is recommended
Yes.
in 14, 15, 16, 13.
Yeah.
They've got that. So they're renounced. So how is their kind of behavior and thinking?
Okay, that's wonderful answer. So what's the kind of approach of the people who have actually purified themselves above the modes, who have transcended above the modes? You know, how do they act? Do they take sannyas or they just renounce themselves? That's a good point. Anyone else?
Isn't so I was just thinking, I started thinking about the answer, and I thought of verse 3.28. Tattva vid mahabaho guna karma vibhagaho guna ganasu
Wonderful.
avatanta. Yeah. So it's knowing when you're in the mode of goodness or above the mode of goodness, every act ultimately is for Krishna, and that is the renounced state, not being someone in a forest or something. And
Yeah,
your mind
but
can still be on material.
why is Arjun asking this question now?
Because we're talking about different things in the modes of nature. Austerities.
Yeah, but he could have asked about grihastha because he was a grihastha. He could have asked about brahmacharya. He is asked about renunciation and renounced order of life. Why?
Goes back earlier to the third as well, because he was thinking of just calling it a day and just going to the forest.
That's the point. Yeah. Comes back to the second chapter. Second chapter. Because how did whole Bhagavad Gita begin really? Bhagavad Gita began because Arjuna thought it is not wise for him to attack his own kinsmen. It's best to just take sannyas. Just to take the renounced order of life. And then third chapter and fourth chapter, Krishna is explaining the karma yoga. Now 18th chapter being the summary and conclusion. Now Arjuna has all knowledge. Now he has to now do it. What should he do? Should he now take sannyas or should he not take sannyas? Should he just renounce or should he just take the renounced order of life? So now, therefore, he is asking this question to Krishna again to confirm the same thing. Because now, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter about karma yoga, about renunciation, different types of activities, all have been explained. Modes have been explained. So now Arjuna is asking this. So renunciation plus attainment of transcendental position. So I've explained to you in this specific verse, Arjun calls Krishna as Rishikesha, which means the master of the senses, and Keshi Nishudana, killer of the Keshi, the most formidable demon. It's not most formidable. It was most formidable demon. My spell mistake. So Keshi demon was a very formidable demon, and Krishna killed him. So likewise, Arjuna is referring Krishna as Keshi Nishudana, means you have killed the most formidable demons. Now kill my most formidable doubt. Now I'm about to do something. You have told me everything in last 30-40 minutes. Now tell me conclusively what is better, taking the sannyas order of life or actually just doing renunciation. So Krishna first presents opinions of the learned and the wise. 2 to 3 words, Krishna says, giving up activities for achieving material desires is called sannyasa, or renounced order of life, and giving up results of activities is called renunciation. So first, Arjuna is asking difference between it. So Krishna literally tells him the difference between the two. The difference between the two is, one is giving up activities themselves. So you give up the activities and you become a sannyasi. And the second one is, you don't give up activities, you give up the results of your activities.
Right at the beginning, we understood that Arjuna is a dear friend of Krishna. He's not a conditioned soul, but for the benefit of the conditioned soul, he's posing himself in this position. So
Correct.
It's maybe controversial, but the doubt is with me and the imperfection is with me. So is it that if he'd understood properly all the way along, then this question shouldn't be relevant? He's asking it in case it comes for the conditioned soul, or actually is it relevant and I just missed the angle?
No, Arjun is asking it. This is not the first instance where Arjun is asking the same question again. This is 4th or 5th instance where Arjun is asking similar question again, because there are certain subtle differences in understandings. And Krishna, well, he's clarified a lot of things in first questioning. Then there are secondary and tertiary level of higher questions, which are there in his heart. And the content of the heart has to be presented in the words. So when we read the answers, hear the answers in words, he is asking a very straightforward question. But Krishna is not just listening his straightforward question, he is listening his heart. And now the way Krishna responds, he kills one doubt. Doubts are when there are too many questions in your mind and you don't think that it's not possible. You think like that. And there is no clear one answer to it. You have to kill the doubt. You have to kill the many thronged faces of this big snake. So that's what Arjuna is telling, that, okay, now I still have this doubt around. Should I run away into the forest and not kill? Or should I just be doing the tyag? Just let me continue to do my activities of fighting and not care about the result, because results are very ghastly that are about to come.
So it's not artificial, very heartfelt and logic. I mean, like honest. Like
Yes.
Really coming through.
Yes. Correct. Yes, someone else has.
The sannyas order is still part of Varna and ashram, so it's still within the modes. It's part of purification, right? So Krishna is saying, I created earlier in Gita. Krishna is saying, I create Varnashram to purify, so you eventually come to my pure devotion for me. So that's also part of.
Yes, Varnashram I wanted to take in this session. I don't know if we will be able to cover it in the first session. But Varnashram, yes, under the modes. But specifically the last ashram, there are 4 levels of sannyasis. Sannyasis are of 4 types or 4 levels. And the topmost ones are Paramhamsas who can't forget Krishna even for a moment. Can't forget Krishna is a problem of the gopis. Our problem is can't remember. So we are trying to remember Krishna, and our instruction is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Their instruction is completely opposite to this. They are saying that we want to forget him, we can't forget him. So that Paramhamsa stage is the 4th level of sannyas, and that level of sannyas is not easy to attain. When sannyasis get initiated in ISKCON, sometimes we see very young sannyasis are getting initiated. They must be only 40 years old, 50 years old. In traditional Vedic system, sannyas was always taken at a later stage. But some of our great acharyas, they have taken sannyas very early in their life because they were clear what they have to do in their life. They didn't had any false understanding of the material world. Their vision was very clear. So they were able to take it very early from their childhood. And so they had good amount of time to progress to the highest level of sannyasa. We are struggling to go from, say, Grihastha ashram, for me, myself, even to get into Vanaprastha, which is the forest or retired life, actually. And even in retired life, there are, different grades of retirees. One set of retirees, they basically, they wander everywhere. Like a Prasridhra, who was wandering the whole world, who was trying to protect the cows, and his Vasisht Muni cursed him to become a Shudra in next life. But he wandered across the globe, studied scriptures, never criticized anyone, and wherever the sadhus were, he went to those places and sat, and whatever came on its own accord, he ate minimal, and just spent his remaining life wandering and reading scriptures and associating with devotees of the Lord. Instead of becoming a Shudra in his next life, he went back home, back to Godhead straight. So the point is that in Vanaprastha, there are stages, in the modes, of course, and in sannyas also there are stages. They also come in the modes. But when someone tries pure devotional service, like I told you, even you in this stage, if you are completely absorbed in Krishna, then for that moment you are fully with Krishna. Therefore, that essentially means that you are absorbed and you are in Shuddha Sattva. But ashram and structures are given for the modes. You are right. For different modes, these ashrams and structures of institutions have been given. But we won't be able to get into them fully. So that Krishna is representing first. Krishna, when Arjuna asked question to Krishna, what is better? Krishna actually didn't answer him. He is first referring to some great people, some great philosophers. And oftentimes Devamrit Maharaj also does this. And I've seen him. He says, oh, Einstein says this and Newton says this and Thoreau has said this and this philosopher. And then he says, Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. He is not using a different technique. Krishna himself uses this technique because people have some preconceived notions and they have pre-experiences of certain types of people, relevant to the modern times. So Krishna is referring to those philosophers who actually follow the Vedic system, and he's referring them, and then he's going to give his conclusive decision. And there are these two types of followers. One is Sankhya philosopher followers, and the second one is Gemini. And this is, you will see the same two sets of mentalities in temples, in workplaces, everywhere you will see exactly these two sets of mentalities. One is, their position is to give up fruitive activities as faulty. So they will give up fruitive activity and they'll say there is faulty. Why is it faulty? Is because there is possibility of violence in those activities. So they don't like violence, and so they want to give up the activity itself. And one example is no animal sacrifice. So these are the sadhus or munis, rishis, who say basically that animal sacrifices are never to be done, like at all costs, never do it. And then there is another set of followers who say that never give up acts of sacrifice, charity, austerity, penances, because there is no sin if they follow what is written in the Vedas. Well, if you gave me a book and I'm following the book, I'm following by your codes, then there should be no sin. So they say that. And for them, they say that yes, we can do animal sacrifice, provided the animal is getting a higher situation than what it is currently in. They should have a promotion to a higher species of life. So they want to make use of the rules for the purpose that rules were designed for. And this is the same problem you face when you're doing services. When devotees take up services.
Justification for the first one. If it's done properly on the higher life, then why not to do it?
Because killing of animal is giving them pain. But killing animal is just one thing. Like when you do something in a temple, for example, and you have been made in charge of certain service, and then you start to do service, and then you realize that, there are so many people creating so many obstacles, or you are the one who are creating obstacles. You're knocking down everyone else in your path of, achieving your end goal of the service. What happens eventually? That you get feedback, or other devotees run away from you. You want some services done, they won't come and help you out. Same at workplace. You are working with some colleagues and you showed off that you know more than them. Maybe you know more than them, but you showed off that you know more than them. Now they are feeling insecure. They are not going to come back and help you because you just presented yourself in such a fashion. So now the problem is they will give feedback about you and you will get chastised or punished for whatever things you might have done, you might not have done.
Your intention was good, but still.
Yeah, your end goal was good, but still there is a problem now. So now you as a person, you reflect back one fine Sunday morning, you start thinking, oh, I was doing everything good. And when my intention was completely pure. This was my end goal. I wanted to please Krishna, not even Guru, not even devotees. I wanted to please Krishna. And look what has happened. Everyone is now saying, oh, I'm a bad devotee, or, maybe they're not saying bad devotee, but they have been hurt. I have created Vaishnava Brat. Okay, from this day onwards, I'm not going to take up these kinds of services ever again. This day onwards, I'm not going to do this thing again. So now you have given up the whole proposition because you didn't do it the right first time. You didn't do it the correct way. Maybe you were untrained. Maybe, the personality was not matching the profile of work that was needed to be done. There are so many reasons there, but your experience has been, okay, this is not fit for me, or this is just causing you give up. The second school of thought is the devotee says, no, I made a mistake and I don't think I'm good for it, but nonetheless, I must do it to learn it properly. And then you continue persisting and continue to make same mistakes again. You don't necessarily stop doing your mistakes, but because it's a time, there is a time before which your brain actually opens up completely and thinks, oh, this is exactly what wrong I am doing. I am actually presenting or showcasing myself as X, Y, and Z, but in reality, that causes more problems. It's got a repercussion. It's got a side effect. So what should be my personality, behavior, and situation and attitude that will not cause these side effects? And it was nothing wrong that you did. You didn't do anything wrong, but now just that you didn't fit the energy levels and everything, you are in this situation. But you are continuing to do the stuff because it has been instructed to you, because that's what been told by your temple. That's what that's the job description that you signed up for, and now you are in the job, so you must continue to do it. You can't just run away from them. Okay, I resigned because I can't gel with X, Y, and Z. But you can do that too, which is the first class of people. And then there are second class of people that you continue to, struggle in that, continue to struggle and continue to improve. Although there is no apparent problem with you, there is no apparent problem with your approach, but the world is going to project it that you are the problem or your approach is a problem. And it's a very difficult situation to be in. But for a devotee who is awake, it is the most rejoiceful situation. It's the most rejoicing situation because they can see things and they can reciprocate with the Supreme Lord. They can speak, they have an opportunity to speak to the Supreme Lord. That so what is wrong? You tell me, how do I manage this energy? How do I manage these people? Or how do I do things right? So it's a very tight rope to walk on, where you have apparently no faults in you and apparently situations, but there could be faults in you too. And if there are faults, then Krishna is rectifying them. If there are no faults, then Krishna is elevating you higher to deal with kinds of people and situations which will be there in the world.
This is part of all the Mahajans, right?
This is all the Mahajans.
Parikshit Maharaj had the snake, but he dealt with it now with Prahlad Maharaj. So this is their mindset as opposed to a mundane mindset. You start flipping out. You start flipping out, you start cursing the whole creation. And that's why Lord Brahma said, Tattenu Kampa Susumikshama. That one who has endured through the troubles and pains of life, even though there was no fault of their own, has become a rightful heir to come to your kingdom, O my Lord. Because every time they go through such difficulties, they connect back to God. That is their fallback. And every devotee should have that fallback. Not easy. No, that's the most important stuff, is to fall back on Krishna. Yeah, I mean to remain equiposed. Yes, yeah, that's not easy. That's why I'm saying, and when things are not easy, that means Krishna is easy. When things are very difficult,
then Krishna is easy. And when things are so easy, then achieving Krishna becomes more difficult, because you are happy, your mind is now spreading everywhere. You can't go back to the lotus feet of the Lord.
Heavenly planet complex.
Heavy, yeah, there could be heavy planets. So there are these two categories of people, and you will find them, these situations in every place. And so Krishna says, Shrunu me. He says, hear me out. Hear my judgment about the two. Process of renunciation should be considered in terms of modes of material nature in which it is performed. So then Krishna takes the understanding of renunciation and explains that renunciation is also in three modes. Renunciation is not without its own modes. So we studied not just modes, we studied eating in the modes, we studied faith in the modes, we studied charity in the modes, we studied austerity in the modes. Now we are studying renunciation in the modes. Then we are going to study also happiness in the modes. What is the kind of happiness in different modes? What is the work in different modes? What kind of work people choose in different modes? So Krishna is from 14th chapter onwards, actually from 13th chapter onwards, from the first mention about modes till 18th chapter, almost half of 18th chapter, the amount of stress on modes is quite high. If you just take the number of verses Krishna is explaining about modes. So you have to understand how important it is for us as devotees to see this effect of the modes. Whenever certain things happen, whenever difficult people come in our life, whenever difficult situation, then we have to see ourselves first, what modes are we situated in. And there is a very common saying, when the problems are too big, you rise higher, and then the problems will become small. What does it really mean? You rise higher above the modes. If you don't rise higher above the modes, the problems are not going to suddenly become small. You have to take to higher purpose. You have to take to higher modes. You have to take to Shuddha Sattva. Then that problem becomes small, because now you have a vision to see the whole set of problems. So that is what it means to rise higher above the problem, is to go above the modes. So now Krishna starts explaining about three kinds of renunciation, and Krishna's opinion is acts of sacrifice, charity, and austerity are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and austerity purify even the great souls. So no matter how great you are, even the greatest of the souls must do it. And therefore, I have seen a lot of sannyasis, they do sacrifice, charity, and penances themselves, austerity. I was in some occasion, and the temple was trying to raise funds to pay off its loans, and one very young sannyasi happened to be present there. Now sannyasis don't have money, they don't have bank accounts, they don't have anything to keep, and everyone was putting their hands up, and they said, we will sponsor 500 pounds, we will sponsor 1,000 pounds, we will sponsor 500,000 pounds, like that they were all saying. And a sannyasi raised his hand up and he said, I will sponsor 1,000 pounds. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is perfection. The person doesn't have money himself, but he is dependent on the Supreme Lord. Then, no, I have said it, now Supreme Lord will make arrangement, I'll make endeavors for it. So sannyasi also raised his hand. He said, I'll sponsor 1,000 pounds for this, because the act is perfect. So here, sannyasi is also doing charity. And to do that charity, he will have to undergo a lot of austerity. He'll have to go beg, raise funds from someone. So the acts of sacrifice, charity, and purity, this verse was perfect in that situation, is not to be given up even by the greatest of the souls. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So we move on. Sannyasis. Now this specific one is because, let's just read it. Sannyasis should never associate with women, but that does not mean that they can't read it. I don't know how to see this. So difficult. Okay. Basically saying that does not mean that sannyasi should stop serving who is in the lower stages of life, like a young man. Should not accept a wife in the marriage ceremony. So Prabhupada is saying that a young man can accept a wife in a marriage ceremony, but if a sannyasi says so that, oh, I'm a sannyasi, I can't get the young man and the woman married. because a young man is bound to get attracted to a woman, so they should get married. And if there are no priests, then sannyasi is supposed to do their marriages. When Prabhupada went to the West, Prabhupada got his disciples married, and there were no pandits or sadhus at that time who could do the marriage. And so Prabhupada had to actually do their marriage. And so sannyasis in India started to criticize Prabhupada. That sannyasis are not supposed to be in association with women, and sannyasis are not supposed to do marriage ceremony. And Prabhupada is now quoting from this chapter of Bhagavad Gita that this is not what Krishna recommends. Krishna says that the duties have to be performed. Similarly, charity is for the purification of the heart. This is the purpose of charity. When you are in constant touch of material energy, then the material energy makes your heart impure. And when you do charity, then you feel some burden has been taken away from your heart. If the charity is done in the mode of goodness, you feel that, some rightful thing has been done. Some burden is taken out from your heart. If charity is given to suitable persons as described to you, it leads one to advance spiritual life. So in what modes of performing actions? So here, mood. Krishna is explaining what should be the mood of performing actions without attachment, without expectation of. So this word is very important. Sangam tyaktva. Tyaktva means to give up. Sangam means association. So if your mood of performing actions should be without associating with them. The problem is as soon as you go to work and you have been given a project to accomplish, you have been made a project leader or a temple commander or some person with some responsibility. Even if you become a parent, you have 2, 3 children to take care of, then you are in the position of commanding someone. Now the problem is you start associating with the problem and the situation because you have to make sure the milk is reaching in time, place. So now, because you're associating and doing the service with so much involvement, if someone says, oh, this guy is a problem, he never drives properly, he drives too fast, or says the milk never reaches on time, we want it in time, it never reaches on time. Every time the flowers come from the flower market, they are almost dead. I don't want to offer these flowers to Krishna. Someone comes and someone makes a comment. If you are at work, they'll say, oh, this person is super slow. You're like, heck, I just was up late night till like 8 o'clock and they're telling me super slow, and they are just were in the pub like 5 o'clock onwards and they're telling me I am super slow. So the problem is because you have associated with the work, because you have associated with the activity in depth, therefore you are affected when anything doesn't go right, and you are affected when something goes right. And if someone says, oh, this is amazing person, always milk is on time, boom, 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 the balloon of the false ego is just bloating up immediately. Similarly at work, you're doing everything professionally and they pass good comments onto you, your balloon of false ego is bloating, and now you start instructing the remaining colleagues because now, your balloon is bloated. And that's your natural position to instruct, aham sarvasya prabhavo. You want to become Prabhu of everyone else. So this Sangam association, that is to be somehow or other, we should not associate with. And it's extremely difficult because when you are the in charge, you are the person taking responsibility. Therefore, a lot of the managers who don't have habit of getting chastised, they can't remain good managers. You have to get chastised. If you don't get chastised, then you have never ever in your life taken negative outcome, because you are happy to take positive outcomes, but you are never happy to take the negative outcomes. And because you are never happy to take negative outcomes, your false ego is now molded into some happy-go-lucky kind of a nature. You have to have a pinprick which bursts it and puts you in a disoriented state. And in that disoriented state, there has to be conversation with the Lord.
A good leader has to have been a good student by default.
Good leader has to be a very good student by default, yes. Otherwise, there is no possibility of them becoming a good leader. They will make societies of people similar to him, and anyone who says anything bad or wrong, it's a problem for them. It will cause problems.
And good student means correction, because you're only there to study because you don't know the solution, you don't know the answer.
Yes.
So they're teaching you, which means you have to be corrected.
Yes, you have to be corrected, but you should not be like a foolish acceptance of correction. When you accept a correction, then you have reflection and you should have questions to sort out, find the root of the problem. You can't be a foolish student. Then that's one of the big problems is people they want to become obedient and they want to become adherent. So obedience and adherent, it's a very high platform, extremely high platform. When obedience and adherence come about without backing of knowledge, what happens is it becomes blind following. So in this case, you put yourself in danger and you put your spiritual master in danger too. You put the person who is guiding you also in danger. Because look, when you are sitting here in the class, I'm discussing with you all are asking questions. When you all are asking questions, it forces me to delve deeper into subject matter and tell you those things which normally wouldn't come to my mind, but they are back in my subconscious from the readings. But when you ask intelligent questions, that means my whole array of neural system gets exploited and answers are coming back. That means I am alert, you are alert. That will save me, that will save you. But when a disciple is just very foolish and actually doesn't ask right questions, that means you're putting the spiritual master in trouble, because spiritual master is going to, or the teacher is going to assume that he gets it or she gets it. And they will do it. And eventually, seva aparad or some kind of aparad will happen. Oftentimes, when such a situation occurs, there is always fight between devotees. That's the first sign. The moment there is some friction, some kind of, oh, I told you this, you didn't do this. There are false egos at place, of course. But the reason that they are not able to sort out between themselves is because they have not been taught from up properly. And because they have not been taught from up properly, they have not been given time, they have not been set with mood, they have not been set with how to deal with situations. Therefore, they are dealing with their own ways of solving the problem. And that is not transcendental. So fights will always happen. Indra and Prithu Maharaj had a great fight. And Krishna had to come himself in between the fight. Before the 100th horse sacrifice could take place, Krishna entered himself. So the idea is fights may happen, disagreements may happen, but those people who are grounded in principles, philosophy, and those who are not blind followers, obedient, adherent with intelligence, which means asking right questions. If you don't ask right questions, you're just simply obedient and adherent, that means you're a foolish disciple. Obedient, foolish disciple. That also doesn't mean you keep asking questions all the time. Okay, I'm telling you a highly refined subject matter. You have to think like many outcomes and then just come up with few words of questions that which the spiritual master will understand the heart and be sorted out. So less communication, more interaction. But problem of the modern day is more interaction, no communication. People are talking with each other, but actually no tangible thing has crossed between the two people. Krishna is responding. Yes. Okay, so without expectation of results and as a matter of duty, this is very important. As a matter of duty. And this remains important for first 10, 15, 20 years of our devotional life. And even after actually. Because anything you do it out of duty, it's not the topmost, but it is extremely high. Extremely high. Because things that you do, like you have a duty to your son, your father, you have a duty to a temple, you have duty to devotees, you have duty to everyone. If you just are a dutiful as a human being, you are poised to grow higher in your life, even spiritually. Because you attain great blessings of everyone. There are devotees who have this prasadam serving seva. They might not serve the prasadam well, but they're always there on time and doing it right. Sometimes they have mistakes, no problem, but they're always there on Sundays. They're always there doing it. Because they are dutiful. They're thinking, no, this is my duty. They've asked me to do it. I must do it. That is higher. Someone comes to the pujari, is always on time, is clean, has some problems with some preparations. Then you have to check for some time. If they are dutiful, that means they are bound to progress automatically. In some time, their mistakes will just disappear simply by being dutiful. Similarly, husbands have duty to wives, wives have duty to husbands, children, all kinds of things.
It's like foundation.
That's the foundation from where you can go into sattva and shuddha sattva. So Prabhupada says, in other words, all sacrifices which are meant for material advancement in life should be given up, but the sacrifice that purify one's existence and elevate one to spiritual plane should not be stopped. So, someone may say, okay, renunciation. Renunciation meaning give up my day-to-day work. Should I give up going to office? But actually for devotees, if they don't go to office, then the Lakshmi is used for maintaining children who are basically Krishna conscious or trying to be Krishna conscious. So you can't stop going to office. You can't give up your chore and say, oh no. And this happens oftentimes, at least it was very famous back in my time when I was very young, that devotees would say, okay, they would like to get married to each other. And, when the couples would speak, that they would say, okay, I want to be 2 years in Hungary, 3 years in Radhadesh, and remaining 2 years in Mayapur. Okay, hang on. We're discussing about family life. We are not discussing about traveling life. That is Vanaprastha. We are not discussing about sannyas life. That is a different. Oh, no, but we don't want children. Okay, then why are you getting married? Why? Oh, no, I just want association. That you can also have, or very common things I want my husband or my wife who is my friend. Yeah, that's a great expectation, but there is a duty element to it, which makes the person next to you your wife or husband, which means I can be your friend and say, okay, I'm not going to bring anything on the plate. You will have to go out and slog yourself. I am not going to. See, yes, so you can be friends. The relationship is friendly, but it comes with some duty attached to it. That's what gives it weight. A wife is a person who has certain duty. A husband is a person who has certain duty. Children are there. Husband and wife together have some duty. So that togetherness and the element of duty, which the modern day Hollywood, Bollywood, and all kinds of systems, they just want to evaporate it. They just want to take away the duty element from all of these designations. You can't be a mother without wanting to not take care of your child. You just can't.
The maids will do it.
Maids would do it. That's not your duty. That's the duty of the maids. So the point is that there are prescribed duties, and by doing prescribed duties, there is purification. Okay, so we move ahead. A devotee of the Lord should accept any kind of work, sacrifice or charity which will help him in discharge of devotional service to the Lord. Doesn't matter what work you're doing. Cleaning toilets, no problem. If it is helping in your devotional service, perfect. The devotee is not, in a big of a problem. Say, oh, I'm a Brahmana, I can't clean the toilets. That's exactly opposite. If you are a Brahmana, you should be detached from matter. You should be able to clean the toilets without any problems. So renunciation in the modes. So these are the different types of renunciation. In ignorance, one gives up their nitya karma. So there are two types of karma. Day-to-day activities like getting up from the bed, cleaning yourself, eating food, keeping yourself clean. So nitya karma, and also this nitya karma includes your duties. And then there is kamya karma. Kamya karma means you are working really hard to get iPhone 16 Pro. Fulfilling your desires basically. Or you are just started newly in a relationship and the opposite sex is asking you, oh, you should have you should have this lavish holiday somewhere, and you work extra hard over hours to achieve that extra holiday because you want to please someone. So that is called kamya karma, or the work that is done out of material desires. So in ignorance, people don't just give up their kamya karma, they also give up their nitya karma, meaning that such a person, won't be even doing their basic duties. They're just purely in ignorance. Example I gave is a mother just saying, no, I don't want to take care of the child because I've got pujari service. At 2 o'clock, I have to be in the pujari to serve the deities. And while the child is ignored, child is just left by themselves alone somewhere, or the child is, has no time to eat. So, when the mother comes back, maybe they'll eat along with the mother late in the night. So they They have no fixed times. So there is no care around the child because I am a devotee. This is called giving up your nitya karma. It comes under ignorance.
But nitya karma is basic duties.
Basic duties, yeah. Your basic duties like keeping your body healthy, fit, taking care of your son, children, making sure your taxes are paid on time, electricity bills. These are your basic activities. So in ignorance, you give up your basic activities. In passion, also you give up your basic activities. In goodness, you don't give up your basic activity. You know, you might give up your kamya karma, but you don't give up your basic activities. If people in ignorance, they have a reasoning. They are basically in illusion and they have no spiritual knowledge. So because of illusion, they find themselves to be too much lazy or indolent, to be able to do anything. So they are okay to give up their nitya karma. They'll say, okay, I won't feed my children. Social services will take them and they will feed them. So you don't want to go to work for whatever reasons. You have like complete illusion. And then passion, you find the work very troublesome. So you want to renounce it. Or you have to get up every like 5 a.m. in the morning to go and do this Christmas job at post office where you just keep clicking buttons. I remember I used to do that job long ago. I would dread it, but the mode of passion. So you find it extremely troublesome. And then there is this kaya, klesha, bhayat. Kaya means body and klesha means discomfort. And bhayat means fear. So out of bodily discomfort, you give up the job. You don't want to do it. And in goodness, you are feeling the same discomfort. You are feeling the same pain, but you think, no, it is my duty. It ought to be done. You somehow get up from your bed and you complete it because it is your duty. In your mind, you are so strong that, no, this is my duty. If I don't do this, I'll be condemned. You don't feel good in your heart. You feel guilt. You feel a problem is there because you have not done your duty well. And this comes to a lot of people, like masses of the population, they will have this problem. If they don't do their duties properly, they will have some problem. Like there is a duty of son to the mother. When the parents get old, it's a duty of their sons and daughters to take care, at least be with them for some time, take care of them. And when the children don't do it, the parents, they feel bad that they can't see that. But at the same time, children also feel bad in their heart. It's very natural. Because they know it's one of their duties. Then association with matter, the ignorance, they do not associate due to being foolish in illusion, but they get implicated. So they don't associate with material activities because they just want to stay away, But problem is they want to stay away, but the government is going to come and tax them. No, you can't run away. You have to pay your electricity bills and you have not paid it. Then you can't stay in this house. So they don't want to associate, but they get implicated. In mode of passion, they fully associate with the situation and hence they feel discomforts of the situation. And in goodness, again, you associate, you act, you act, but you do not associate with it. This is sakarma, vikarma, and akarma. So this mode of goodness is not necessarily akarma, but it is like vikarma, close to vikarma. Because here we are speaking of renunciation in mode of goodness, not in transcendence. Renunciation in mode of transcendence is akarma. But here we are just speaking renunciation in the mode of goodness. So they renounce, but they want to act, but they do not want to associate, and they give up results. That's the most important thing. But Krishna then says, who is a wise renunciant? Wise renunciant is one who is out of the three modes. The one who is fixed in the mode of goodness is a wise renunciant.
That association counts for a lot, right? Because if you are feeling like this, that's where you're at. You're with someone that doesn't feel it or is superior to you. By their association, like you don't want to go and prepare the vegetables in the cold kitchen for breakfast. Or some other devotee is getting on with it because he wants to please the devotees. You're inspired through that momentum.
Yeah, and Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita gives example that in India, summers are extremely hot. So the women, they still go in the kitchen, they are sweating, but they're still cooking the food. If the woman then says that, okay, I don't want to cook food because it's so hot, I can't, and then she's in front of the, heat again. So if they say, then no one gets food. Children don't get food. Men is out in the field working somewhere. So she can't give up her duty. Man can't give up her duty. Everyone does their duty, even though it is extremely distressful. They have to do it, otherwise no food. So this is the example Prabhupada mentions. So yeah, discomfort is there, but somehow you just do it. You know the same person is going to be there in the kitchen cooking, with whom you can't gel. And they're going to say two things to you, and it is going to hurt your false ego again. Because just their existence is a problem for you. So basically you know it, but you still do it. Because you say, no, this is for Krishna. Okay, this person is a bit of a problem for me, but I do it for Krishna. Similarly, husband, wife, they tolerate each other in marriage. People think that everything is great, but they are basically tolerating each other. And the best couples are one who tolerate each other very nicely and present themselves, oh, we are amazing couples. Actually, they are internally tolerating each other.
You've got to be the point for this though, right? Because you're struggling with this, but you see someone is a bit stronger and they can do it. But by being with them, then you come up again as well. I've had so much good fortune in that way.
Yeah, you become stronger. You can deal. You become mentally stronger. Then they call you, I have got thick skin. Thick skin people, you can swear at them, nothing. As if, they're just cool, just sitting as cucumber there. No problem with them at all. So they can take it and they can now, not act on it. They can't get hurt easily. So yeah, you get this by experience. When I was very young, and if someone complained anything about my work, there was a big emotional problem in my head. Oh, why did they complain about my work? Oh, why did they say I was not like this or I was like that? But as the years grow by, people will say, and I can take it from 1 year, digest it without causing too much of a problem. And if there is a too much of a problem, I've got to fall back. So this is how the natural growth happens. So wise renunciate is one who is fixed in goodness, is neither hateful of inauspicious work, which is uncomfortable for the body, not attached to auspicious work, pleasurable to the body. So, there are people who are Brahmanas. And because they are Brahmanas, they can only, they say, we can only teach you. We will learn the scriptures and we'll teach you. We will never accept learning from you. If you tell me something, I'm a Brahmana. Because I've studied so much. And if you ask them to say, okay, can you just do this menial service? Oh, you are asking me to do this menial service? Because over the years, their false ego has been molded like that. So they've become too soft. Their heart has become too soft. If you ask them in a very hush-hush fashion, in rude fashion, Prabhu, shoes, can you make sure these shoes are up? There are such people in the mode of passion in our temple, because we are a very small temple and we have all kinds of people who come to our temple. And someone who is very matured and senior devotee for practicing for many years, in our temple, in a lot of other places, they can go and everyone will bow down to them. In a lot of the other small communities around London, outside London, when they go into those temples, they go, and as soon as they go, people will just bow down to them or say, oh, Prabhu is here. Prabhu, please come sit. We'll bring you a prasadam plate. We'll give you some nice water. They are treated like superstars. When they come to our temple, they enter a temple, some newcomer is there. And immediately they said, Prabhu, can you please make sure your shoes is picked up and kept on the third shelf? And here in his mind, he doesn't even want to pick up his shoes because his hands will go bad. And he's a Brahmana. He has to be clean all the time. Then someone, they are just passing by in the restaurant, someone will, in the mode of passion, will just quickly hush past them and just hit them slightly by hand because we have less space. It's a very disturbing situation for someone who is practiced Brahmana for a very long time. I'm just speaking for the facts. I've seen it with my eyes.
Comedy sketch.
It's a comedy scene, yes. But imagine being in that person's situation in that moment. They are used to be some peaceful, nice. Yes, Madhu, you have a question?
It's a comment.
Yes, comment.
In the Western Desert, come from India.
Yeah.
And they were trying to establish where is was it the members area?
Okay.
That's what I didn't know what it was they meant. But
Yes.
then they really expected there to be a separate area, so they
Yes.
didn't have to go to temple or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit much.
It's bit quite, yeah, because they were told that you get members separate darshan queues and everything. Yeah. And happens in India because like when there is a special day, there's almost like 10 million, 20, 30 million people queuing up. That's crazy numbers. And so no one can actually take the darshan on those days. So then they make up separate queues for VIPs and special people who are the life members of they get in fact my cousin brother said I want to become a member. I said, why do you want to become a member? It costs 2,000 pounds almost in India to you have to become a member, 3,000 pounds, and they use that money to build temples because in India you have a lot of temples. So I said, why do you want to become a member? No, you are a Hare Krishna, that's why I want to become a member. I said, I'm a Hare Krishna, so you want to become a member? Okay, fine. So I put him in touch with one of the persons in the temple who they needed funds. They were building a temple in front of me and they needed lots of funds. So after, I said, okay, you can. The next day he said, my friend also wants to become a member. I just couldn't understand what piety I have done to get so many memberships here. I just couldn't fathom it. But my cousin brother is a nice guy, but so I was just wondering. And then third day he told me that, look, on Janmashtami, the queue is crazy. The members have got a separate queue. So therefore he wanted the membership because, every year on Janmashtami, they want to visit it. So, people have intentions. And so you can relish such times in your mind. But I'm just saying that not attached to auspicious work is in the mode of renunciation. So I'm not saying that all the devotees are renouncing. They are renouncing to the degrees they are renouncing. We are speaking of the, some top renunciants. So don't expect such devotees to suddenly, go quote Bhagavad Gita and say, oh, Krishna says this about renunciation, but hang on, I'm not renouncing. I'm actually taking, but in the right mood. But, we have our own constraints. But if we have to behave, if we were in the same situation, I'm putting a very high bar, comes on me first. It should not be, if we become agitated in that situation, if we ourselves are in that situation where we are, practicing purity and suddenly, someone comes and asks us to do this and do that. And we think, oh, I was here for a specific purpose and now this person is us. That means we are, there is a problem. We need to still progress a little bit. Internally, we should think like this. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, a devotee is always in conversation with the Lord. And the way he is in conversation is by remembering what he's saying, by remembering how his devotees are behaving in Bhagavatam and in Bhagavad Gita. So there he thinks, oh, Krishna said that best renunciant is one who is not attached to auspicious work. So now they have asked me to do something inauspicious. That is also service. Let me just do it. That's a conversation based on Shastra. You go internally, you say, no, you remember what Krishna has said. Karya, akarya, vyavasthita. What is to be done, what is not to be done, according to the scriptures. This way, your false ego is constantly beaten, your artificial positions are beaten, and you are in a safer position. But that doesn't mean that we should treat those people like that on purpose, telling and quoting them Bhagavad Gita. See, Krishna has said this is renunciation, and Prabhu, I don't think you are renounced. You are here for 20 years, and I don't. Not our business. We shouldn't be doing that.
Wrong to check yourself.
Is for ourselves. Bhagavad Gita and X-ray for the self. Is to know self. It's not for someone else. The problem is after we do Bhagavad Gita, we only apply to someone else immediately, not ourselves. Does work in proper place at proper time without fearing troublesome effects of this duty. So, they understand it is troublesome, but they will do it at proper time in proper place. And then Krishna says, he gives his verdict about renunciation. And he says his verdict is, karma phalatyagi, he who renounces results of action, he is best. In Krishna's mind, there is no difference between a sannyasi and one who is renouncing the results. So anyone who is going to the job but not accepting, the money or the good outcomes of the job just for himself, And he's actually saying it actually belongs to you, oh my Lord. Whatever you desire will happen with this, whether it's money, whether it is good appreciation, whatever it is. Then for Krishna, that person is at the same level as the sannyasi. Krishna says the same point in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says that a grihastha, a brahmachari, or a sannyasi, they all equally get my mercy. Equally. That verse was mind-blowing when I read it. I said, equally, what an opportunity. I don't have to be like, because I was young, I don't have to be like him. And still I can get full mercy. So I was doing services with more enthusiasm, possibly more mistakes, but with more enthusiasm, because now I realize Krishna is giving everyone equally his love. And this is exactly what Krishna is saying, that renounced daughter of life is almost same as when you give up the results of your actions. And this is his word. Yes, mother.
Can I clarify something, right? So if your paid work is troublesome, how can you tell whether or not you're still just doing your duty or you're doing it in the mode of passion, because actually you're still going even, because sometimes paid work, it's troublesome because there's a mode of passion in the actual
Yes.
environment. you know
Yes,
what I
ma'am.
mean?
I completely, actually 100% relate to it.
Mm.
When you get into paid work, there is a passion expected out of you, because the whole situation of managers are, they want to see people who are like fully in touch and fully doing it. They are, in the situation and they know everything, and their hands are moving fast, their mind is thinking fast, and they are responsible and reporting fast and escalating fast. So they are completely designed to be in passion, Maraji. And you have to do that work so that you can be in goodness remaining portion of the time. Because if you don't, then you will give up your basic duties of life, which is chanting the
Yeah.
names of the Lord.
So you have to adapt the mode of passion to do the work, and then
You have to detach from it. While you are doing it in the mode of passion, you have to be consciously aware of, you have to have the knowledge that I'm not the doer. The biggest implications come when you actually think that you are the doer. When you see Krishna as the doer and you are only an actor doing what Krishna wants you to do, then you can detach. Sangam tyaktva, disassociate. Tyaktva, give up sangam, association. Give up association. So the only way you can give up the association is when you are constantly thinking, I'm not the doer. I am not the doer. That is the mantra that will keep you sane. I am not the doer. And then you can be passionate at work. Like after this whole thing, Arjuna started to do fighting in the battlefield. So he went back to job. And now he was doing job crazily. Not, when I say crazily, he was like, for someone who is seeing from outside, they will think that he is in mode of passion. They will see Arjuna as in, because with one single arrow, he's shooting down thousands of them. He was like really acting. But now his position of action was situated in alliance with the desires of the Lord. So this way you can pray to the Lord that, okay, my Lord, I have to go to work because I have to make money so that I can pay my bills, chant my rounds peacefully. But I don't want to cultivate this mode. I want to come out of this mode. So you make sure you make savings, you make investments, and you make enough money so that at least when you come to your late old age, you don't have to get into this kind of work. And it's also mentioned in coming verses that people start with this approach first. And then at one point in time, naturally their heart will be in the situation where they will say that, okay, enough of this. Now I want to cultivate this fully. So then you go for the full modes of goodness like that. But it has to come through experience like that. Okay, so we'll pause here for 5 minutes for a break. And then we'll come back at 12:25, 12:26. I'm good, Pooja. Thank you.
Can I ask one thing, you said about the example Prabhupada gave, then he said the sacrifice of material advancement should not be given up. Is that in the most?
Should be given up. Material advancement.
Yeah, material advancement should be given up.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So is that in the mode of ignorance? If you're trying to
Advance materially.
Yeah.
Ignorance and passion, yes.
So together.
Yeah. In passion, in ignorance, you want to advance so that you can destroy someone else, like competing with your neighbors or causing with the money you want to do some destructive work. And in passion, it is basically to make more and more unlimitedly. That's myself.
Seventeen and 18, what we're reading is almost like a noose around your neck, because you can't speculate, you can't deviate, you can't cheat, you can't hide. There's no escape, because every category is like a ring fence with electric. So you go on this side, okay, sorry mate, you're in the mode of ignorance. You're on this side, okay, now you're in passion. So you can't run out of it. You take your pick, you've got a choice.
Yes, but for, therefore devotees are called reflective sage. Sthita Dhira Muni. So devotees reflecting constantly on their actions. Their actions are performed and then they have a reflection, or before doing the actions, they reflect on the experience, then they do the actions. They then, over a period of time, then they learn when things go wrong. That is called meditative sage.
Helpful to become reflective after this, because you've been given the roadmap and the guide map, and every action you can just place it. So now you know, so you're gonna reflect, where am I, what did I do?
Yes, and the only way you can reflect is by reading it. If you're not constantly fed, then you'll stop reflecting. Because the material modes of nature are designed to put you in an automatic mode. Things are happening, you're waking up, you're thinking you're doing it right, or you're thinking that no, this is all going properly. I'm alert and I'm aware. But till the time you read, you don't actually, or hear, one of the two things, reading or hearing. That time you will not know that actually, okay, I was just going in the wrong direction. That's why, and you are bound to go in the wrong direction. Everyone is, because the modes are designed like that. Day-to-day work is designed like that. The only way you can do things right is by reading or hearing some saintly person.
LinkedIn Bible survey, you got touch back in.
Correct.
The feedback loop.
Yes, and every day and Narad Muni says this in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, after Prahlad Maharaj's pastime. He says, Yudhishthira Maharaj asks, what's the duties of a grihastha or a householder? And Narad Muni says that do nitya naimitiki kriya, do your everyday activities. First, he says, make money. First duty, Narad Muni says that using proper means, don't take cheating means. Using proper means, a grihastha should make money. And then with that money, he should use it for donating to the saintly people, maintaining themselves like that. But he says, most importantly, use it for the devotional service of the Lord. And then he says that read Srimad Bhagavatam or the pastimes of the Lord and associate with devotees of the Lord. And if someone does these two things, and he says, do it every single day. And he says, if someone does these two things every day, small quantities of this, he says, one morning they will wake up and it will be a matrix moment for them. This is words of Narad Muni. One morning the person will wake up and he will see things that, okay, where am I? What is this? These are actually not my children. This is not actually my wife. This is not actually the world. This is how this is. And they will see the world in a completely different perspective by taking this dose, small dose every day.
The doing is the modes that are acting.
Yes. So when you do Bhagavatam every day, associate with Bhagavatam every day for some time, then Bhagavatam changes your perspective over a long period of time. Your thinking process changes completely. You're not thinking the way you used to think before, and people around you will think, okay, he's just not there, or he's there, he's not there, because his mind is somewhere else. And one fine morning, such a person wakes up and he says, okay, done. Baba, it was too dangerous for me to be here. I can't even imagine how I've been here. Because they start to see everything. Like, I can't explain to you what details they see. And the only way I can explain this to people is matrix moment, because matrix moment is very crude and very superficial.
Makes the point.
But makes the point under modes, because this matrix is under mode, but it's extremely deep, completely purified state of the heart.
I don't have the experience on positive, I have the experience on the negative, in the sense that when I don't read or haven't for a period of time for whatever reason, then the knockback effect is immense, and you're like,
Yes.
whoa, you need the medicine again.
Yeah, but that is again in the modes, right? When you continue continue doing the modes, then you do certain activities for certain time, then you miss for certain days for whatever reasons. Maybe you have gone to Holy Dham, and there you had no time to read books. So basically what happens is there is this discontinuity. So you feel the pressure. You feel that, okay, there is something missing. Pressure is still higher level, but first is you start missing something. So that when you start missing something, then you go back and then you feel great joy in just touching it again, smelling it again, sitting with it again, reading it again, or hearing again, or just doing that one round, slow round again. Because we continue doing rounds for years and then we forget how what a slow round is. Slow round is a round with full conversation and full hearing the holy name of the Lord. And that one good slow round with full connection and absorption fills your heart completely. And all other rounds then are slow and fast at the same time. The time goes away, you finish the round, you are still not satisfied, because in those 16 rounds, you are in so much absorption with the Lord that actually you wanted to do some extra rounds just to continue the conversation. And then you are bound to feel ecstasies of chanting. The same goes with, but these all secrets are mentioned in Bhagavatam by Narad Muni. He tells Yudhishthir Maharaj asks questions about duties of a brahmachari, a sannyasi, and a grihastha. And Shivram Maharaj also speaks oftentimes about varnashram. And I've heard whatever he is speaking generally, I don't know if he's consciously telling it, but his natural way of speaking is as if Narad Muni is speaking from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about this pastime. How he says, just take any simple ordinary work. Maharaj says, that's exactly what Narad Muni said. It's a different story that I'm not able to take it because I'm in this complex web. But Maharaj is saying, simplify your life. Simplify your life. Don't make artificial needs. Keep your needs bare minimum. Don't artificially inflate your needs. Exactly same Sanskrit words are Narad Muni's. There are 7 to 12 verses which I memorized long ago. I can't remember them. I have to revisit them. But if you read them, your hairs will stand on your end.
After Prahlad Maharaj.
After Prahlad Maharaj's pastime, yes.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Because this kind of like competitive market economy capitalism, some more the passion maybe it's been put into us from childhood,
Yes.
study hard, get a good job, earn loads of money, that must do competitive.
Yes.
So you've done all this studying, you go for the job, and then now someone tell you, why don't you just be like a simple road sweeper, like you still get enough money, you can feed yourself, and then
you can just live simple life. Yes.
Just give us a little bit of pride. There's no need to
This
be
is
the
the
next
only,
Google guy.
exactly, this is the only struggle of devotee's life. I make just sufficient money, or I make enough money so that rest of my life I can just read, chant, do some service to the devotees or in the temple, or take the movement further. The devotees don't have that. And the reason also is that then our spiritual growth will be checked, because we have to go through some purification ourselves. Okay, so we
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Sorry,
Krishna,
can I ask
Mataji.
something?
Yes.
Sorry, Prabhu. I was just wanted to ask, is it enough to just have the desire to please Krishna and Guru, and that will bring us to maybe at some point to the mode of goodness? Or should we just really like start to pray more to be in the mode of goodness? Because sometimes maybe Guru can ask some things which feels like can bring us more in the mode of passion because it's so much more responsibilities or things like that. So how can we deal with that?
Madhaji, the person who actually progresses in devotional life is one who is extremely honest about themselves. Because honesty about oneself starts from the place where you start understanding yourself. You know, how you are made up of, what modes affect you, what are your likes and dislikes, what can you actually do in this age, in this time, and in this circumstance that you are put in. You know, you might be in some location, you have certain age, you have certain strength, certain weakness. So you start having an internal conversation with you first. What are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what do I like to do? And once you have that honest conversation, you should be clear about what you don't want to do, because maximum people are going to tell you what you should be doing. But someone who is clear, they should know what you don't want to do. And then you take instructions of the spiritual master and you try and match it with what you want to do. Take the portions of the instruction and match it with what you can do and what you want to do. Can do and what you want to do. You know, can you go out on book distribution during weekday? If I ask myself, no, I have a job to do. Can I go out on book distribution on Saturday? Maybe not, because I have to take my daughter somewhere. Can I go out on Sunday? Maybe not. I have, Krishna club. I have got other problems. Can you do this on Christmas time? Possibly yes, because I have less work at work. You know, maybe I'll have holidays. So you can go through a list of questions in your mind. And then you see what you can do, and then you see what you want to do. When you answer the second question, what you want to do, and also knowing what you don't want to do, these things should be absolutely clear. Then you try and match this with the instructions of the spiritual master. There is no way, without actually getting the Vedic knowledge and without following the instructions of spiritual master, to transcend the modes. There is another category of a student which basically says, no, okay, my spiritual master has said this, I don't care, I will do this. That is another level of a student. And then they just don't know whether they can do it or want to do it, or they don't know what they can't do. They will just jump into it and they will do it. That you can continue to do up till a certain point where you start burning yourself and you realize what you like and what you don't like. That's why it said that you, in the beginning of devotional life, take up activities which you naturally like. And if you take up those activities, you will nurture yourself. It's just like the fight between the crocodile and the elephant. You know, elephant became weaker and weaker because elephant was fighting the war in the water, and in the water, crocodile is stronger. So you have to first find out what is the strong situation for you, which will make you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually fit. You find that situation first. You find that situation, then you work on what you like to do, then continue doing things that you like to do, and they are in line with your instructions of spiritual master. And then in some time, you will gain maturity, experience, and devotional credits. Then you will automatically, while doing those things that you like, you will also find difficulties even in them. In doing things that you like, you will find difficulties in them. It will help you to slowly transcend the modes from ignorance to passion to goodness. Eventually, you will come to a stage where you will have to meditate on the instructions of spiritual master and try to do them. And if you are not able to do them, you pray to the spiritual master that I'm trying, I'm not able to do. Just like this blind person was instructed by his spiritual master to read Bhagavad Gita. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this blind person, he was touching Bhagavad Gita. No, illiterate person, sorry. He was an illiterate person. His spiritual master told him to read Bhagavad Gita. And so he couldn't read Bhagavad Gita, but he kept Bhagavad Gita in his hand and he was looking at the picture where Krishna was the charioteer, chariot driver, and Arjuna was the charioteer. So he was just looking at the picture and he was weeping. And he knew the whole Bhagavad Gita. He knew the essence of Bhagavad Gita just by looking at that picture and trying to read, following the instructions of his spiritual master, which was read Bhagavad Gita. How will an illiterate man read Bhagavad Gita? It's an impossible instruction. So by even meditating and trying to do will help you, will make you humble first, and then it will help you to improve over a long period of time. But in the beginning stages, specifically when someone's young, you should always start with this. What do I want to do? And what can I do? And then the instruction of a spiritual master can be very far from what you are doing and what you want to do. But you are planning always that now I'm going to come closer to the instructions. I'm going to come closer to the instructions. Does that answer your question? I think we lost her.
Yes, Prabhu, thank
Okay.
you.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
does that mean that we shouldn't take up service without guidance of our spiritual master?
But so just sorry, can you suggest
Yes.
one point? Because when we say the last verse is still saying like Krishna, do what you want for me. So if we just pray to Krishna that we just want that Krishna use us as an instrument, then do you think
Yes.
it's like too
See, Mataji,
how we
prayers, no, they are of
say,
two kinds.
it's the stage which we are not are on it?
Yeah, no, I'm saying prayers are great, but the prayers are of two kinds. The prayer which has got connection with the prayee, or if you're praying to the Supreme Lord, the connection between the one who is praying and the one who is prayed. And that prayer has got heavier weight as opposed to prayer where the connection is there, but the connection is very faint or the connection is not deep. So the problem is we think that we can continue to pray to Krishna and Krishna is listening our prayers, but Krishna is also wanting to see something practically done. When you do something practically, like actual thing, like Ambrish Maharaj was actually going to the temple and mopping the floors. So if you do something in reality for Krishna and continue to do that and continue to pray, that will first, because now in this chapter you will learn the only way to know Krishna as he is through devotional service. Krishna says it, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanate Yavan Yah Chashmi Tatvatah, as it is in substance. Tato Mam Tattvato Jnanatva Vishate Tadana. The only way to know me is through devotional service. And prayer is an easy medium to connect to the Lord. But I'm saying when you want to connect to the Lord, how keen is Lord to pick up your phone and want to talk to you? Is he dying to talk to you? Or are you dying to talk to him? It is great that you are dying to talk to him. It will make him also very receptive. But I am saying that you don't die to talk to him. You say, maybe I really want to die to talk to you, but I want to serve you first. And in this way, you find out some practical activity. It need not be very big activity, to be honest. It can be something very practical and very small also. Say doing an extra round, or say doing something physical, say behaving well with some non-devotees. It could be very trivial. But when you take that practical activity and do it every day consciously with full no, Krishna, I'm doing this for you. I love you, but I don't know how to love you. But this activity, I want to do it for you. When you do this consciously every day, day in and day out, then over a period of time, what you have accumulated is conversations with Krishna, where Krishna is now getting blackmailed into coming and responding, reciprocating with you, because it is backed by service. That's what your mother Yashoda was doing. Every morning she was churning the butter yogurt because Krishna loved it. And while she was doing, she was thinking of Krishna, singing of Krishna, like that. So day in and day out, you take one activity which is done exclusively for the Lord, without any ulterior motive, without any expectation of return, without any expectation of reciprocation, and continue to do that activity for a long period of. How do you choose that activity? Comes back to the same question. What would you like to do? And what can you do? Sometimes you would like to do something, but you can't do it. So first find out what can you do, and then find out whether you will like to do that or not. And then do that conscious activity day in and day out. What will happen is the weight of your relationship with Krishna will increase dramatically. How is it possible that when you put one tulsi leaf then the whole balance of all the gopis come down. I don't know if you have heard that pastime or not. How is it possible that weight of one small leaf can bring down the whole thing? This whole prasadam that you cook in 2-3 hours is only accepted by Krishna when you put tulsi leaf in it. And what is the size and weight of tulsi leaf? But the love and the dedication of the relationship of Tulsi Maharani with Krishna is extremely deep, and it is through devotional service. She is serving the Lord tremendously. So what I'm saying is continue, do some devotional service over a long period of time. That will deepen your relationship with Krishna, that will deepen your chanting, that will deepen your remembrance with Krishna, and it will deepen your prayers with Krishna. Same words, same thing, prayed, like in 20 years time, you will see, you will be weeping in those prayers. You will be seeing that, you will be in complete ecstasy, saying the same words all over again. It's the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that we sing and chant for so many years. Yet, some people, when they chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they are in full connection, in ecstasy, weeping for the Lord. They are in complete. So, this is what I'm saying is, yes, you pray to the Lord and you can't follow the full instructions of the spiritual master. They're normally not always meant to be easily followed, meaning not something super quick and easy. It's amazing if it is super quick and easy. But you should always be targeting towards that instruction. Slowly, slowly. Shane shane uparamed buddhaya dhriti gritaya. Krishna says slowly, step by step, with intelligence and with determination. And we are also going to read what is determination in 3 modes. Krishna is just going to say about it, provided we manage to reach it. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu, for taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Appreciate it. Appreciate the genuine and honest questions. Mataji, you had some point to make?
Yes, should we never take up any service without speaking to our spiritual master?
Should we never take up any service without speaking to a spiritual master first? Anyone has answers?
Understanding, you've got specific instructions and then you've got general instructions as well, like from temple authorities. Like
Yes.
even the floor book distribution, this, that, the other. But that is always to be done. The specific things that should be consulted.
Okay. Anyone else online? Mataji's question is, should you never take any spiritual activities without consultation or guidance from your spiritual master?
It depends on the relationship with the spiritual master, I would say also.
Wonderful. Depends on the relationship with the spiritual master. Yes, it's a very key answer. If you have a deeper relationship, then the spiritual master will come and tell you, okay, do this, cook for me. They will act like your father and command you, basically. Or they will act like your teacher and they will command you. But, you have not seen your spiritual master, you're always at a distance. Then what does it mean? The spiritual master doesn't instruct you, or does he still instruct you? It means spiritual master still instructs you. How? Because spiritual master is not just a physical body. Spiritual master is the principle which comes from Lord Balram. So whatever instruction the spiritual master actually has for you, it will come through some other purified devotees. It will come, and when you can't do it, or then you should have an open conversation with them. That, I think this is what I can do, and this is what I would like to do. But if you are in young age and a youth, and you have, you don't know what you can achieve because you have the whole horizon in front of you, then you should just go ahead and do it anyways. Because what will happen is you will know more about yourself. This is the exciting part of devotional journey. Because a lot of the devotees who come to Hare Krishna or ISKCON, they don't know that they are actually musicians. After they come to ISKCON, they realize that they can play harmonium. And they don't realize that, they can give classes. They were like introverts. Then suddenly they find themselves sitting on Vyasasana and giving discourses. So you actually don't know your full potential. You will only know your full potential when you try few things out. And that opportunity you can get when someone comes to you and asks you to do something. So not necessarily, Mataji said, you have to have a relationship, but relationship is not always in person. So, whenever you pray to your spiritual master and you have a genuine connection with your spiritual master, like my spiritual master, before I got married, we went to him and took some instructions from him. After that, I met him at airports, and he saw me, and as if he didn't see me. And I was like, okay, I took instructions from him less like 6 months ago, and now maybe he didn't see me. So I was like, okay, Moros. And I thought maybe I don't have a relationship with my spiritual master. Then he comes back again in a year's time. And now he hugs me as if he's known me forever. And in my foolishness, I told him, Maharaj, I can't come to your evening disco. He's meeting prime minister and presidents of countries, and me, foolish person, is telling him, I can't come for your evening discourse. In anxiety, you say things when you meet your spiritual master. My spiritual master told me, I understand you must be having some work. I was so touched by it. He was, he didn't think in his mind or he judged me. He just was understanding and non-judgmental. And he told me, you must be having some work. Don't worry. I was like so touched, I can't tell you. For the rest of my life, I'm going to remember this. Like insignificant person like me telling to my spiritual master who already has like unlimited. But the spiritual master knows you. He ignores you for a reason or he sees you for a reason. Spiritual master is not just Vapu, he's also his Vani. His instructions are there. And whenever you pray to your spiritual master very sincerely, you will find some other sannyasi or some other devotee will come and say you exactly those things that your spiritual master is going to come and say to you, because spiritual master is also tattva, Hare Krishna, and he's confirmed that. So spiritual master always refer to the devotees and take instructions from them, and that way it is a communication from the spiritual master. Okay, so we move ahead, we have less time. What happens to one who is not a tyagi? One who is not a renunciant. Krishna says 3 outcomes of their actions. One who doesn't renounce the results of their actions, then their actions are binding them. And what is it binding? It's basically ishtam. So they have desirable outcomes, which means they get heavenly planets, or they have undesirable outcomes, which means they get hellish planets, or mishram, which means mixed outcomes, which means they get human birth. So anyone who doesn't renounce from the results, Krishna's verdict is clear. He doesn't distinguish between a sannyasi and someone who is giving up the results. And there is a very famous pastime in Ramanujacharya Sampradaya where, Ramanujacharya had a disciple. He is one of the great acharyas of Sri Sampradaya. And he had this disciple who was very wealthy and well-to-do. And, and he had sannyas disciples. So when he had these sannyas disciples, the sannyasi disciples, they would always be envious of this married disciple, because the married disciple, Ramanujacharya, used to spend a lot of time and, give a lot of mercy to them. And so the sannyas disciples would always think like this and that, and they would, have qualms about it. So one day, Ramanujacharya instructed his sannyas disciples to go and steal the necklace, the jewelry from this married disciple's home. So the sannyas disciples got bewildered. They didn't understand what it is. Nonetheless, they carried the instructions of the spiritual master. So they went in the night when they realized that the husband is away and only wife is at the house. So they went in the night and they entered the home and they saw that the wife is sleeping. So basically they tried to steal the jewelry that she was wearing. And the wife realized that it is actually the disciples, her godbrothers. So, they were trying to steal the necklace from one side. And so she swayed like that to let them steal properly from the other side. So the sannyas disciples, they thought they've done the job. They came back with the jewelry to Ramanujacharya. And, then next morning, the husband was back at home. And this wife, she told her husband, look, your godbrothers had come to steal the jewelry. And, in the night, they were trying to steal. So the husband immediately became very concerned. And he said, so did you let them steal or did you not let them steal? So, she was also puzzled and she didn't know whether her husband wanted them to steal or whether she. So she said, what should I? He said, you should have let them stolen your. And she said, yeah, I did that. When they were trying to steal, I turned away so that they can take my. And then I also left my bangles loose so they were able to take these things. So the husband became very pleased with the wife. And, they continued living their life normally. And Then, these disciples, Ramacharya took away the kupins or the undergarments of these disciples. So the disciples who were sannyasis, they were fighting because only one kupin was left and there were so many disciples. So they were fighting, this is my kupin, this is my kupin. So then Ramanujacharya came and told them, look, those people from whom you have stolen, they have not even complained about being stolen, and you guys are fighting for a small kupin. So who is more renounced? Whether they are more renounced or whether you are more renounced. And similar pastimes happened at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So it's important, Krishna's understanding is very clear, verdict is clear, that someone who gives up the results of their action is equally qualified. But one who doesn't give up the results of their actions, they are bound by these three outcomes. One who is a tyagi or renounced has no such results to suffer and enjoy. But then we say, wait a minute, what about karma yogi? There is 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita and 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is explaining about karma yoga, where karma yogi is also expected to do karma, but they have outcomes, they desire outcomes. So, now if someone desires outcome, if they do karma, that means there has to be a reaction and an action, right? So then how come they, karma yogi, then progress to become jnana yogi, and jnana yogi to dhyana yogi, and from dhyana yogi to bhakti yogi? Because they are also on this 8-fold yoga ladder. So Krishna is then answering this question to Arjuna by actually explaining him that what causes binding, what's the root source of getting bounded. And it's basically actions which are further subdivided into 5 factors. When these 5 factors come about, then there is an action. The root source of action is these 5 factors. And when these 5 factors happen, then there is an action. And then action can either be in renounced mode or in non-renounced mode. So now Krishna starts to explain that, okay, karma yogi, they also do actions for the sake of results, but a karma yogi who does actions without false identification as the doer and conviction that Supreme Lord is the main doer. So I'm not the doer, Supreme Lord is the doer. If they have this kind of mentality, then, and this mentality is just knowledge with them. It's purely knowledge with them. They have knowledge that I'm not the doer and Supreme Lord is the doer. Because of this, they can escape this cycle of getting into the modes and coming out of the modes. They can be true renunciants. Renounce the fruits. So the reason they are able to renounce is because they have knowledge that they are not the doer. If they didn't have the knowledge, then they will get implicated in it. So has knowledge of various causes of action. So then, Krishna describes 5 factors or causes of action. Because now, even to do an action, there are 5 things. Some people say that, oh, I'm never successful. Why are they not successful? If you take statistics, every single year, there are millions of startups that open. But out of those millions of startups, only handful of startups become big companies, like, millions and billions. Why does that happen? So the next verse is actually called Secret of Success verse. If anyone asks you, what's the secret sauce? This is the secret sauce. And I've got an acronym called PIDES. PIDES is a special Turkish flatbread. I don't know if you have eaten it. But, it's prasad for us. So this is the something similar. Yeah. But pita bread is like yuck. Pides is better. Yeah. Place of action. So these are the 5 factors because of which any action, causes of action, any action is successful or not. So place of action, the doer of the action. Who is the doer of the action? The soul or the consciousness reflected in false ego. Instruments of the action. So various senses are instruments of the action. There are 24 senses we have discussed. And then efforts for those actions or endeavors you are making for those actions. And lastly, the super soul, who is the sanctioner or the ultimate controller of the action. So basically, this 5 things are the causes of success. If you don't have these 5 ingredients, you can't be successful. Oftentimes, you will see people who start these startups, they are working very hard with their bodies and mind, and they are with their false ego also. They understand that they are the pusher and the doers of these startups, and they make sure they use all of their networks, senses, mind, intelligence to accomplish this, and they make very hard effort, but nonetheless they don't pass in their attempts because they don't have sanction of the supreme, because the super soul doesn't sanction it. So for anything to actually work out, there has to be this 5th element. The whole material world is trying to tell you about these 4 elements only. Ravana always believed only in the 4 elements. But without the sanction of the super soul, nothing can happen.
But Krishna, there's 2 birds in the heart, all intervene. So
Yes.
it's through your karmic credits, right?
Yeah, through your karmic credits. But if Krishna doesn't sanction, it won't happen. Example is, if you are in the hospital, if you want to eat food, but now not even 1 drop of water can go. As soon as it goes, you vomit it out.
He's the ultimate sanctioner.
He is the ultimate sanctioner.
Through your karma and previous
Through your
lives.
karma and the modes. Through the karma and the modes. Yes.
You speak on the
Yeah, please.
doer of action and instrument of action. So
Sure.
as causes. they come to-
So doer of the action is basically false ego reflected in consciousness. So, we have a false ego and we start to think that we are the doers. We are doing this action. It is because of our desire to do this action, material action, we are doing this action. So it's basically conceptions which we have carried or experiences we have had, and we want to actually use those to implement something materially that we desire. If you desire something spiritually, then that comes at the level of soul. If you don't desire something spiritual, you desire something material, that comes at the level of false ego and consciousness. If the desire is spiritual, then that is true ego. But the desire is now mutated materially, therefore it is false ego. And so the false ego, so there is this soul, and then there is this false ego, and then there is this consciousness, which is your awareness of existence. So when false ego projects itself on consciousness, the consciousness is colored by the false ego, say red color. But when the soul projects itself to the consciousness, say golden color, then the consciousness is golden color. So basically, doer, if it is false ego doing, then you start feeling that I am doing. Like I am the CEO, I am the responsible person. You can never make the statement that, oh, Krishna is doing everything, or God is doing everything, I'm just an instrument. That becomes something a little difficult to understand or accept. So that is doer. Instruments of the actions, we have discussed that there are 24 senses. So those senses are subtle senses, gross senses. So your 5 subtle senses, knowledge acquiring senses. And then you have these mind, intelligence, and false ego as well. So those are your instruments of action.
And so this is for success.
For success, I'll tell you something amazing.
Yeah, sorry. No, 'cause I'm asking you like how those relate. The success of speaking about is both spiritual success
And material success. Yes. So now I'll tell you something which you will be able to relate to. Suppose materially, you want a car, like a limousine, and it has been sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. Assume it has been sanctioned, but you don't make any efforts for it. You just don't make any efforts to get it. And, although you think you are the doer, but you don't make any efforts. And then you don't choose the place of your action, which means you don't move your body to go to the, house which is selling the shop which is selling the car. That essentially means you will not be able to get the limousine. So although it was sanctioned, and common example is doing children. Oftentimes, husband and wife get married and they can have children. It's not that they can't have children, it's sanctioned for them, but they don't want to have children. So they don't make any efforts or endeavors. They don't use their instruments for it. So, you have to go through Shuddhikaran, which means you have to go through samskaras, purificatory processes. So they don't do any of that. So then you will not have child. It's written in your, it's destined for you, but you're not doing any action. So then you can't have success. For success to actually happen, you have to have all 5 of these things. You have to be wanting it, you have to be doing it, you have to be engaged, and you have to be utilizing everything you have got. And you have to be in this conception, yes, I'm doing it for a reason, because I want it. And then also you might not succeed if there is no sanctioner. Example is, a lot of couples want to have children. They are trying it really badly, but they can never become pregnant, or because it has not been sanctioned. Their womb is destroyed because of their past karma or whatever. A lot of the modern day civilization, they're taking tablets. It's known that it destroys the womb. So, and then the karma that comes from killing a child in the womb is dramatic. It's extremely serious and extremely grave. But nonetheless, the civilization is now working harder and harder to make more effective contraceptive pills. So now you have done this karma, you have earned more ugra karma, extremely ugra karma actually. So then, Super Soul says, okay, you guys you don't deserve it. Krishna doesn't sanction it, then you keep doing it for many years. Krishna sees austerities, or these people are undergoing so many austerities. Then Krishna may bless you finally with something. Yes, Prabhuji.
This sanctioning, can it be cross-referenced and acknowledged with astrology then? Then you can find out if it's
No.
sanctioned for you or not.
Oh, whether it is distinct for astrology can give you a guidance. But if in the meantime your karma has mutated, or you have changed, you have done something ghastly, then the astrology for it to reflect into your hand and in your face will take some time. Because astrology reads something which is there in existing situation or from the previous situation. Existing situation, the current karma is only going to reflect after some period. It doesn't show up in your lines immediately.
Gives you the idea whether to even make the endeavor or not.
Yes, you can do that.
This thing is very clear, but if it doesn't happen, does it mean it's postponed and on hold? Like you gave the example, you don't get the limousine, or is it you've lost that opportunity and it's been wiped?
Well, you keep making endeavors, and depending on your sincerity of your efforts, it may get sanctioned.
Later on down.
Yeah, because you will go to holy place, you can do some repentance, that we were discussing in previous sessions. You go feed brahmanas, you go to temples, pray to the Lord, and Krishna, out of mercy, he might sanction it.
Change.
He might change it.
But what if it was sanctioned for you, but like you said, you didn't make the endeavor, you just stayed in bed all the time?
Yeah.
So you didn't get the limousine.
You didn't get the limousine.
But could it be if you then got out of bed and then started to make the endeavor, then you get all that opportunity is gone now, sorry, too late?
Well, as I understand, some opportunities that are there, they're tied to your karma. And karma, it comes when it becomes fructified. It's there for you to bear that karma. Now, that good thing that might have wanted to come to you might not necessarily come as limousine, but might have come as something else, because you are destined to get the fruit of your reactions. So now maybe that good thing has come, but it's not limousine, it's something else, you enjoyed it. So now you are start effort from limousine again, but your good results of that thing has just been consumed. So these are subjective topics, you might not necessarily get it back again, or you might not get the color you want. Small things, people, or your limousine comes and someone scratches it.
Or could it be you don't get it, but in the next life, without trying very hard, because it was waiting for you, but you didn't collect the apple, then you just get it very
You just get it.
without much effort.
Yeah.
People get envious thinking, I'm trying so hard.
And you just get it.
Just get it. But they don't realize that he did a lot of work with it.
Yes. Previous life, yeah. So these are 5 things compulsory for a success. If these 5 things are missing, no success.
Compulsory. Yeah?
Compulsory for success. These are the 5 factors without which action cannot take place. This is a source of actions. There is one famous verse, I don't know how many, and a lot of the devotees like to hear this. That we quote this in preaching to a lot of people. We say that, okay, the whole world is worshipping Mother Lakshmi, but they don't know that Mother Lakshmi is with Narayan. So become the devotee of Lord Narayan. She is always at the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. So wherever there is Narayan, the Lakshmi will always follow. We say this, right? We say this to everyone. But that verse, which is there, in the book. That verse says, yes, this statement is true, but it qualifies that one has to do three more things. One has to be entrepreneurial. One has to be never satisfied. And one must work hard. And the fourth one is one must be devotee of Lord Narayan. Okay? So we want to always present one side of it. But so you may become a devotee thinking, oh, I'll go to Lord Narayan and now Lakshmi will come to me. Materialistic thinking. But yes, okay, you have come to Lord Narayan, but okay, you still have to be entrepreneurial. Be entrepreneurial in achieving Lord Narayan. Try and take up new services which no one else has thought. And maybe you can work hard on that service. So second condition is fulfilled. And what was the third one? And don't be satisfied. Don't be satisfied with whatever service you have done. Increase it, improve it, or change it, do more. And then also be devotee of Lord Narayan. So then now you see how fast your progress will be. And Lakshmi ji will be really pleased with you. Okay.
Goddess of fortune comes to those who making that endeavor to try and
To make an endeavor to please the Lord, or to make money also, even materially and spiritually. But materially, if you just are after money, then your heart will become impure and soon you will lose Narayan. Simple. It's a other way of saying that, okay, yeah, you can't just continue to worship Lord Narayan and cultivate material desires. One of the two will remain. Either you will become fully materialistic, which is impossible because you have done something for Lord Narayan. It will be a Yayati situation. Yayati enjoyed for thousands of years. He says, Kalam bahutitam badre, kamen natipi tushchati. That lot of time has passed, but my kama, my lusty desires are still not finishing. And he's becoming irritated with it, frustrated with it. And he said, therefore I am kripanaha. I am a miser, he says. That I have just been wasting my time on your beauty, and I have actually not Atma Nam Na Bhi Janati. That I don't know myself. I don't know myself. I've never spent any time. And now all of that happens, that in these 1,000 years of his enjoyment, he was also doing sacrifices. He was doing fire sacrifices, feeding brahmanas, giving in charity tremendously, worshipping the Supreme Lord. So he was doing both the activities together. He was not stopping the worship of the Supreme Lord. So now, because of this powerful activity, he has this in his heart, which is full-blown realization. One morning came for him, and that morning happened, and then he left. So this happens. This is a real thing for a lot of people.
without Narayan, it's mental speculation, and it's just like material, but with Narayan in the middle,
Yes.
change.
Things change. Yeah. So if someone's always worshipping goddess of fortune all the time, she is unstable, unsteady. It's written in Srimad Bhagavatam, I think in 8th canto. When she appeared, she was looking everywhere for the husband. And she saw demigods, she saw everyone, and everyone wanted her. She was no, Lakshmi, Mother Lakshmi. Yeah. Everyone wanted Mother Lakshmi because she was extremely beautiful and everyone's mind was agitated. So similarly with wealth, everyone's mind becomes agitated when they hear big numbers, when they hear big money, when they hear something amazing. So she was there and she was looking and she was rejecting everyone. Oh, these people are greatly austere, these sages are greatly austere, but they don't have this quality. These are very powerful men, but they don't have good character. These are this. So she rejected the whole creation, and the only personality she could find perfect for her was the Supreme Lord Narayan. And she went to him and she surrendered, and the Supreme Lord accepted. And the whole material creation, in the meantime, the whole material creation was completely agitated in mind, because everyone wants Lakshmi. Everyone wants great fortune, big wealth. They want it. So everyone was agitated. And the only way they became pacified is when Mother Lakshmi glanced upon them. When Mother Lakshmi glanced upon them. And when the demigods, when she glanced upon the demigods, all the lust from their heart was completely vanquished. And they became extremely satisfied and peaceful. And so, and when the demons, she didn't glance upon demons. She glanced upon humans and she glanced upon the demigods. And she didn't glance upon demons because they wanted to steal her like that, you know. And so the demons were always like becoming more and more unstable. They wanted her more and more. So this is the nature that you can see in the material world, that people who are peaceful, demigod-like, they will be a little bit satisfied because Lakshmi ji has blessed them, because they are devotees of Lord Narayan. Demigods are devotees of Lord Narayan. Demons, they don't like Lord Narayan. So this is what happens. And then there is this war between demigods and demons. It's because the demons, they were completely unsatisfied now, and demigods, they had complete peace of heart, complete satisfaction, and they were rejoicing, humans and demigods.
Bless means even with a small quantity you can be satisfied.
What? Bless?
Bless means even with a small quantity you can be satisfied.
Blessing is absolute. There is no small quantity or less quantity.
Okay.
Blessing is blessing.
I think the demons are never satisfied, even though they've got so much.
Yes.
They want more and more and more.
Yeah,
and more.
yeah. It's true. Therefore, you know, when we come to the temple, it's not that we see the deities. Actually, deities are seeing. When when Srimati Radharani, when Krishna sees, then our heart is completely softened, completely purified. We feel complete satisfaction and joy in our hearts. Why? Because we are not seeing them. We are thinking we are seeing them, but actually they are seeing us. That's why we should come to the temple and see the deities. It's only by their glance we will be satisfied, not by our glance. Oh, Krishna, you are so beautiful. Yes, they will appreciate our good feelings and our good prayers, but they also glance upon us, and that's when we become satisfied. That's when you do the whole day of book distribution or any seva, and then you come and stand in front of the deities, because Krishna has said you can know me as I am only by devotional service. Then you actually know Krishna. Krishna glances upon you, and the whole tiredness of the day, suddenly your eyes are completely bright, fully lit up. Before it were a little bit dull because of the evening and tiredness. But you take the darshan of the deities, and the effect is that they glance upon you and you feel happy. You feel this joy in your, it's inexplicable joy. You can't explain it with no words. It's just impossible to describe it. Okay, so we move, we have less time. So those are the 5 actions, and then there are right actions and wrong actions. So those 5 factors will cause action. And no, that doesn't matter. But you should remember that the 5th factor is Krishna. 5th factor is Krishna, Super Soul. He is the sanctioner. If he doesn't sanction, nothing can happen.
Could you put it first?
Yeah, no, first, the reason I don't put it first is because people don't know that he is sanctioner. So they start with all 4 first. But they don't know that ultimate factor is Krishna. Therefore, I'm saying the last factor is Krishna.
Intelligence would be to get it sanctioned, right?
First.
And then go to everything.
Yes. Okay, so Krishna sanctions wrong actions too. That may be the question. What is your answer? Because the actions can be right and wrong. Right actions are ones with scriptures. Wrong actions are ones which are against scriptures. So the question is, does Krishna sanction wrong actions too? Like what's going on what's done by the terrorists, what's done, you know, what harm is being done all across the world. That's the point, right? So this section is very contentious section of Bhagavad Gita, because there is quite a bit of a, you know, understanding to be done here, especially when you interact with people outside.
Do bad things happen to good people?
Do bad things happen to good people? Yes. That's the topic of karma. Yes. But there we don't understand the concept of sanction, because there we are still trying to get people to understand the basics of Bhagavad Gita. Karma, kala, karma, space, time, 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. But here now we are in intricates of Bhagavad Gita. We have connection with Krishna, and now Krishna is saying that I am the sanctioner. So the question to all of you is, does Krishna sanctions wrong actions? And if no, then why? And if yes, then why?
Something.
Go ahead.
So if it's for your betterment, then even if it's currently wrong, you may sanction it because you may get a realization out of it.
Wonderful.
And if it's not, then you won't. So it's not done on morality or duality. It's done on the future. If it would work out better for you in the future, then sanction. If not, then not sanction.
Okay. So if it will work out in the future, he will sanction it. If it doesn't work out in the future, He will not sanction it.
In terms of you, not material success, but you coming closer to him.
In terms of soul coming closer to Krishna, Krishna may sanction temporarily some bad activities for them to do.
That's a bit jumbled. As in, like, if you have a real desire to eat sweets and that's
Yeah.
not good for your health,
Yeah.
from that you gain a realization to not
Yes,
have them
yes.
at all.
Yes, that's a good answer. That's a very good answer. Yes. Any other answers? No other answer. So all of you are either sleeping or you completely understood. You've got it.
Somewhere the one where you get the most realization.
You have answered it already.
Okay.
So let others answer.
No, I'm trying to like encapsulate it. I could be totally wrong. I'm double covering my face.
You're covering yourself up. Okay. Sohail Prabhu, I haven't heard anything. Kush Prabhu, Anvesha Mataji. You still here or are you gone? Sir, machine sitting there.
No, sir. Prabhu
Okay.
here.
Okay, Vaibhav Prabhu is also here. Wonderful.
Kush is here.
So tell me, does Krishna sanction wrong actions too? And if no, why? If yes, then why?
I don't think like Krishna sanctions wrong actions.
Okay.
It all depends on again the mood and what we are doing and based on our karma. Sometimes
Mhm.
maybe what we are doing is based on our karma as well. So maybe
Okay.
what we're doing is because of the bad karma we have or that we
Yeah,
have.
but Krishna just mentioned in previous slide. Look, here he said that he is the one who sanctions all actions. Look, he said just literally few slides back. Where did the slide go?
So that means yes, he do sanction wrong, but
Okay, I don't mind if someone changes their answer. I love it. I love honesty. So here Krishna said, he is the actual sanctioner of all actions. So Vaibhav Prabhu, you think he sanctions bad actions too?
yes, Prabhu, I think he also sanctions bad actions, or I think for our own good only, maybe to rectify our karma in a way.
Yes, wonderful. This is the answer which Nayan Prabhu also gave. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Qualify what bad is, because it's very loose. We have to tighten that.
Bad and good is mentioned by Krishna here. Right and wrong. So bad is one that is against scripture. Good is one which is with the scriptures. Yes. Yes.
Then, Prabhu,
Yes.
can I counter question one thing?
Yes. Go on.
So what about like I know it is very controversial, but like we see people with like let's say terrorists or something, right? So they are coming as you say that Krishna sanctions if they yes, so but they are killing other people. What about what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. Good question. I also for time being I don't have the answer, but let's see if the answer comes out. Xander Prabhu, you are saying something?
No, I was gonna say on similar lines to the previous guy, that if there's kind of, according to the 5 factors that cause any action to be successful, if
Yes.
you have absolute sincerity according to the first 4,
4. Yes.
then if you have that absolute sincerity, then Krishna, he allows us to have a small amount of free will, so he will satisfy that soulful desire.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Regardless of what the outcome might be, if we show that sincerity.
Yes.
And it can happen that, I don't know, a thief burglars my house
Yes.
and their intention is wrong, should I say?
Yeah.
I'm getting a reaction to some previous comments. So
Yes.
Higher.
Okay. Xander Prabhu has given Hare Krishna. Xander Prabhu has given very good answers. Two points he has raised is one that yes, Krishna sanctions all actions, but he's saying that if someone is doing the 4 factors of action correctly, which means they are the doer, they are and they are sincere in their first 4 factors. So Krishna then doesn't intervene with the free will because everyone has got a free will. So therefore, Krishna, out of mercy, says, okay, you're doing the first 4 things right. Let me just allow it. So, for a thief, he might be able to burgle your house because, he's been sincere. He made sure his instruments are correct. He came at the right time when everyone was sleeping. And so, Krishna said, okay, you are sincere, you can burgle. So that's one point. And Krishna does that because Krishna doesn't intervene in free will of anyone. Because every single soul is made along the lines of Krishna, everyone is independent. So it's a very valid point. And the second point you mentioned was about karma, which is, now the thief is actually burgling your house. So they are doing everything which is sanctioned by Krishna. And in that way, you also have done something bad in the past. And so your negative karma is getting now burnt up. So Krishna with one single action is balancing. So those are the 2 points which Xander Prabhu has mentioned. Nayan Prabhu and Vaibhav Prabhu have said that Krishna sanctions so that in future they can be rectified. Brandon Prabhu, before I come to you, just let me hear from Anvesha Mataji. Anvesha Mataji, you also have an answer? Or you are still
Prabhu.
thinking?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm.
According to me, I think that if somebody is too determined in their own will, and then probably even if the action might be bringing consequences, Krishna might sanction the will because they are too desperate enough to get that particular position or that particular act.
Yes.
So Krishna might be like, yeah, fine, it might bring you wrong consequences, but because you're too dedicated right now, so I will sanction the will for now.
I will sanction
And
it.
then when it comes down with their own consequences, which might not be as what an individual might have thought it to be, that time they start repenting in their own way, and then they understand that whatever they planned or they wanted was quite wrong.
Okay, wonderful.
Multiple choice, everyone's given quite plausible answers. Which one?
No one has like very definite answer, but everyone is inching very close to the points. You have one more. Before you come, I want to just hear from Brandon Prabhu. Yes, Brandon Prabhu. Siliman.
Krishna, I was just thinking that I remember one pastime of Srila Prabhupada where he is on a plane, he's talking to a pilot, and the pilot's asking him about why does God sanction evil, and or some sort of question like that, and Prabhupada saying that for Krishna there is no good or evil. He doesn't see it quite in vision like that. Although I guess he's kind of talking about making a distinction Bhagavad Gita, but it makes me wonder that in terms of sanctioning evil acts or bad acts, wondering in terms of Krishna's vision, does he see them as bad acts or evil acts in his sort of absolute vision? And I'm also wondering, like almost like the chicken and the egg, what came first sort of situation in terms of the karma, like if someone's sanctioning a bad act, is that actually just a karma? Is that just a karmic thing that person's meant to recompense? And then there's the other level of what's the ultimate end result of the bad act? Something that can seem really bad, it's really devastating to someone. Many people who've had intense spiritual experiences have been through intensely, seemingly negative experiences for the world, and no one would wish to go through, but they've had very intense, spiritual awakenings almost through that. So it's
and to put further context to it, that while the position of God can be absolute, and what is right and wrong, whether Krishna sanctioning some wrong actions is also judged by the moral people. In the moral society, we judge. Krishna judges them. Sorry, Krishna is judged. So because the morality of the modern day law works according to the law books that we have, right? Secular, maybe non-secular, but it works according to different geographies, will work according to law books. But here we are speaking of absolute. But here even absolute, so it's critically important we understand this point and meditate and reflect on this individually, so that we come to a clean understanding. Nayan Prabhu has something else to share. Yes, Nayan Prabhu.
I was just saying, reflecting back the point that you made earlier, which is in the beginning is general principles, so karma and this and that.
Yes.
But now the relationship, Sambandha is already there, so relationship, so it's a devotee, it's Arjuna and Krishna.
Yes.
So in that sense, Arjuna is a friend of Krishna, so he will always intervene.
Yes.
and do what is best. So
Yes.
I'm putting that caveat in that it's not just like, okay, whatever's will be, but Krishna will intervene, good or bad, because that's his dear friend. He's not gonna let his devotee be swept away, so he will intervene.
Okay, okay. So Krishna, Nayan Prabhu is saying Krishna will intervene for a devotee. Yeah, okay. So let me come to this question's answer. So
Drum roll, this is a big one.
drum roll, it's a big one. Everyone's got a different answer here.
Last thing, you know.
So
That's the Mangalai sweet.
Mangalarti sweet. I wish I had one Mangalarti sweet. I would have first eaten myself to be able to answer this one. Because this one is a big challenging, and there is one more challenging one coming after this, but we might not be able to touch it because we have only 2 minutes.
We had this previously before the road.
So the answer is just these are course participants. So if you want to hear, you can hear, but I just beg to differ for not for this occasion. So, but after the session, you can speak to me and you can ask questions. So, so essentially, you know, so answer is that Krishna sanctions all actions in an absolute sense. Not even a drop of water can fall without the sanctioning of the Lord. So you might come back and say, okay, so this terrorists killing innocent people, do you think these actions are sanctioned by the Supreme Lord in the moral society? You might get this question from moralists. You know, are those actions sanctioned by the Supreme Lord? Question is, the point is that the Krishna is the ultimate sanctioner. Now, for those people who are not directly in relation to Krishna, who are in relation to material energy, the material energy takes charge of them, which is Maya. So when material energy takes charge of them, then they fall under laws of karma, actions and reactions. So now you will still come back with the same point saying, okay, so those terrorists, they are killing innocent people. Are their actions sanctioned by Krishna? Yes or no? Is your God devil or no? Right? This is the atheist way of coming across it, because they don't want logic to actually understand it deeply. So the answer is that Krishna is sanctioning it, but he is the ultimate source of sanctioner. Immediate source of sanctioning of what activities is according to their own karma. And therefore, when it happens according to the laws of karma, when something really bad is happening in the world, according to the scripture, the root source of bad happening in the world is because not enough good people are taking responsibilities to let bad happen.
Collective karma.
It's a collective karma. So, you know, if someone who is a nice person doesn't make sure that the bad person doesn't harm other good people, then it's the problem with the good persons. It's not,
There's
it's,
a vacuum.
yeah, there is a vacuum. If the good people don't do their duties, then the bad people will overrule. And it's not on God because they have not approached God directly. If they approach God directly, pray to the Lord and ask him to intervene, then Krishna will make situations change, because they are now surrendering to the Supreme Lord. But because they don't want to surrender to the Lord, they want to continue materialistic civilization of exploiting the material resources, and they want to be a godless civilization. To an extent, in the modern day, there is no description of God in any textbooks of school children. It's a completely devoid of God kind of education. So when you are trying to take away God from everything, and then on top of that, the morality principles of good people, the so-called good people, is they are not taught to act back. When something bad is happening, the responsibility of bad is equally put on those people who are doing bad and those people who are actually tolerating the bad. Equal weight.
So the terrorists don't get out jail free card.
Can I say one?
Weber Prabhu, yes.
As you're explaining it, yeah, I can relate it to, can be related to the Draupadi Chirharan. For example, at that time, they all were good people there, but nobody took action against Duryodhana.
Wonderful.
So, kind of example. I don't know.
Correct. Wonderful, Vaibhav Prabhu. Very beautiful example. So in the Chirharan, or the disrobing of Draupadi, there were all good people there and there were bad people there. Good people didn't take any action. Bhishma didn't take any action. And some of the good people did take action. They couldn't do anything. They walked out from that assembly. Vidura left from that assembly. One of the brothers of Duryodhan left that assembly, criticizing his own brother. He said, "You are adharmic." He left there. And those people who were good, they didn't do anything. So Draupadi was left completely helpless, to an extent that if she wouldn't have taken help from Krishna, nothing would have happened. So the point is, Krishna is obliged to those who directly take course to him. Those who directly take shelter of Krishna, Krishna is personally obliged to them. And Krishna will take care of them through some means. They might not be able to understand. And those people who are more and more in connection with Krishna, Krishna says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamiyaham, that I will personally take care of you. I will personally take care. And the example is of this sadhu who basically scratched this verse, Yoga Kshemam Vahamiyaham. He thought, okay, Krishna doesn't personally take care. Maybe he'll send someone to take care. So he scratched this verse of Bhagavad Gita with his pen. And he wanted to rewrite it saying that Krishna will make sure he's taken care of. He wanted to rewrite it like that. Yes, 1 minute, Cecily Mataji. So that sadhu went to the lake to take bath. And while he was taking bath, two beautiful young boys came with a lot of food on their heads. And while they were delivering the foods, the wife of the sadhu, she saw that the boys, they had scratches on their back. And so she asked, "What happened to your back?" And the boys replied that our teacher, her spiritual teacher, he is very strict. He has actually beaten us. And then when the sadhu came back from the pond after taking bath, he saw all these things, fruits and everything, and he asked his wife, "What happened?" She said, "Okay, you sent your disciples here, right? They gave so many things." And then he said, "Okay, tell me the description of my disciples." She started to say, one was blue boy, one was white boy. He was so beautiful. He had a peacock feather. And then he realized, oh my God, what did I done? Then he reflected and he realized he scratched the verse. So he immediately ran to his copy of Bhagavad Gita and he saw, and the scratch was gone from there. So Krishna wants it known to everyone. Those who surrender to Krishna directly, Krishna will personally take their care. Full stop. Those who don't surrender to Krishna, those who surrender to superstars, ordinary people, so-called incarnations, then essentially they are by their own self. Cecily Mataji, yes.
I was just wondering, when you said about how there's like equal responsibility for people doing bad things and also for good people that allow those things to happen. Because sometimes it feels like we're given opportunities to prevent bad things from happening, but often, like personally, often I feel like we're powerless or we don't have the means, or the way that bureaucracy works, or so many factors in society, we're kind of left passive, not necessarily through our own choice. And I was wondering, about how that works, or how that could be overcome.
Yeah. So very, very relevant question in the modern day. And yes, the way bureaucracy works, the way administration works, we might not be able to do anything. So then we get incriminated in this kind of sense. So what I'm saying, Cecily Mataji, is that we can't run away from our karma. We do get incriminated. When the president or prime minister of a country is allowing all kinds of nonsense and harm, and when you live in that country, what happens is you get incriminated in something called as collective karma of the country. So then you will have to bear that collective karma. So for example, a lot of Indians, they move to different countries and then they have to bear karma of the country in that country. And then some people are born in certain countries. Then you have to bear the karma of that country. Can you act? Can you change? Yes, you can act and you can try to change. At least in your mind, you should always say, no, this is wrong. Cow killing is wrong. It's wrong per se. Don't kill animals. There is no need. A duty of a prime minister, a president, is to protect all living entities, not just, human beings, but all living entities. So essentially, that's the first level, that in your mind, you should be clear. And then wherever you have an opportunity to voice yourself, where actually your voice will be heard, then you should voice it in a manner in which it will be acceptable and reflective for the other side to hear. So, devotees go out on book distribution, we go out on events, we go out on multicultural faith talks. If you have opportunity to go on these multicultural faith talks, or you have opportunities to just host some events, then in those events, you can speak in a way and present it in a fashion so that the people can understand and discern between right and wrong. When you say something with conviction and with a rightful attitude, then people can get it. Yes, they are saying right. Maybe we can't follow it right now, but they are saying right. A lot of the people know that red meat is not good for them, and they can accept to that fact, but they can't follow it because of the conditioning. So wherever you get an opportunity, you should voice it. And what to speak of dedicating your life for the betterment, that is the ultimate stage, but that is then bound by your duties. The answer in short is that we can't escape away from our responsibilities. We get incriminated in those karma. So, sometimes people say, oh, we were very prosperous as a country, what happened now? We are not prospering so much. Because there is collective karma of the place, there is collective karma of the country. And it is said in Bhagavatam that one cannot escape it. Even in India, in so-called place, so-called land of purity, it is the highest exporter of cow meat. All the leather in the world goes from India. So there is a collective karma of a specific place within India wherein they are producing this leather. You will see in Kerala, they allow to eat meat, and you will see there are natural disturbances happening in Kerala. You will have to bear the reactions. That's my point. You can be clear in your mind, and wherever you have opportunity, you have to speak. You can present it nicely. Like even veganism, no problems promoting it, promoting non-violence. And if you promote non-violence in the garb of veganism, then you just need to ensure that the people don't become terrorists with veganism, vegan idea. They don't philosophize it to an extent that, but the intention is right, is to not kill a cow. Intention is right. The whole conception of veganism, the intention is right, but they have taken it to a different level.
Petition, small
Yeah. Small things you can do within your action. So does that answer your question, Mataji? Thank you. Okay, so before we just run away, I wanted to do 40 verses. Doesn't look like we'll finish, but I'll just finish this one. Impure intelligence and foolish. This is the one who thinks himself the doer, not considering the spelling mistakes. One who thinks himself the doer, not considering these 5 causes, then they are just basically doing things out of foolishness and impure intelligence. So that is basically renunciation in the mode of ignorance. So one has to cultivate non-doer mentality. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, does not actually kill. And this is the point I wanted to discuss. It's a very big problem. This point is a point of debate. It says does not actually kill people even though he kills them. Thus, he is not contaminated or bound by his actions. So Krishna is saying that even though he's killing, he is not killing. And this has been taken out of context and actually used by Western so-called modern day philosophers to justify that Bhagavad Gita actually promotes violence. This is this.
Islam jihad.
Yes, exactly. But they don't have a context of this specific problem. And now my question to you all is there a problem with the above statement? We won't be able to get into your answers, but maybe we'll begin next session with your answer. You have 1 week to reflect on this specific verse, which is verse 17th of chapter 18th. 18:17. Does not actually kill people even though he kills. And I'll tell you, there is a famous movie which was launched recently. It goes by the name Oppenheimer, right? Oppenheimer actually created a bomb, and while after creating the bomb, he quoted 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 5, the time I am, here I am to destroy all 3 worlds. And there has been a lot of lively debate with a lot of modern day intellectuals then labeling the book as a book of violence. So now I want your perspectives in the next session. With that, my sincere apologies. We have gone 10 minutes over time. We will continue in the next session. If you have any questions, I'm still here for another 20 minutes. You can ask.
Thinks himself the doer. Is that like Hiranyakashipu or Ravana?
Yeah. Or maybe like Sidhārī Das, who thinks himself as a doer. Yeah.
Would
We
you
be-
look in yourself first rather than put it out, see that quality in ourselves?
No, for example, now I'm going to go for a conference and an event where I have a certain position and I have certain people. In that event, suddenly my false ego will make me think I am the doer. I am calling shots here because everyone is going to listen to me, or people are going to follow what I'm going to say, or I'm going to do work with them in an entrepreneurial mode. That essentially makes me believe I am reinforcing the thought that I am the doer. And that basically is not perfectly good, but there has to be meditation that no, I'm still not the doer. I'm just in this position. I'm just acting under this kind of mind and this kind of situation that I'm in. And from that, what I expect to get is Lakshmi, but not without Narayan.
So the point you
You
made
see?
earlier, that's why Krishna keeps talking about the modes continuously.
Continuously speaking of the
To
modes.
remind you, it's the modes, not you.
It's the modes. You're not the doer. The modes are doing, and you have to detach from the modes. And so 13th he told Arjuna the modes are the cause. 14th he went and described it. 16, 17 modes again. 18th first 40 verses modes again. So everything from eating, sleeping, walking, working, intelligence in the modes, renunciation in the modes, faith in the modes, charity in the modes, austerity in the modes. Yes, Brandon Prabhu, you have a point?
Hare Krishna, I'm so sorry. It's going back to Cicely's question about
Yes.
our responsibility with world sort of situations. I'm wondering, does that mean we have to enter into like philanthropy, like when there's like protests and things like that? Does that mean that we have a moral and spiritual obligation to do that in order to prevent things happening, or is it that even just by doing our spiritual practice, our sadhana, that we're somehow contributing to the welfare?
Yes, so your question is extremely relevant. I hope this recording doesn't go, but there have been two saints who have exactly exemplified the answer to this question. One of the saint basically has said that, look, if I want to change people, I can't change people by force. So I'm willing to sacrifice things myself and get people to change with love, which is Jesus. Another saint has said, look, dharma has to be done. And so let me cut, kill, and slam people completely and get them to follow what I want them to do. I don't want to name the great saint of this religion, but it doesn't sound like saint anymore. So you can go out on protest and block the highways and motorways and cause distress and discomfort to people and try to get them to hear to you in that way, telling them that actually problem is really pressing and I need to do this because you need to hear now, as otherwise the climate is going to go to the hell. So you can do that and leave a bad taste to an extent that then people who are actually receptive will become repulsive. So, yeah, maybe I accept the fact that climate is important, but I don't want climate like this, where you block my motorway and I can't go and pick up my daughter from school. So there is one way. And the second way is you try to change things organically, slowly. And the most important way of changing things is to give people knowledge. Everything starts with mind. Everything starts with mind. So and therefore Prabhupada wanted most of the devotees to be Brahmanas, because with mind, you will be able to give knowledge to people. Even in conversations, when people see that this person is deeper, he can give knowledge. So it starts with knowledge, it starts with impressions sown in the mind. And then over a period of time, when you have a collective masses of people having similar kinds of ideas. Just other days, someone was saying that on one of the buses, many years ago, they saw like that saying, which very much reflected from Bhagavad Gita. The saying was, you are not the body, you are in this body, something like that. It was on a big London red buses. Now, for that to happen, imagine how many years of brahmacharis going out, handing over Bhagavad Gitas, doing discourses, meeting different people from different parts of the world. So this happens over a period of time, but it can only happen when you start giving people knowledge and tell them the truth, but tell them the truth in a presentable fashion. I can tell the truth from Bhagavad Gita as it is, and that can basically blow off the people in front of you. So Krishna was speaking according to the time, place, and circumstance. We have to speak also, and therefore it is an art. Yoga karmashu kaushalam. The reason Krishna called it as an art is because you can't mutate from the truth, and at the same time you can't agitate others. And the message of Krishna is definitely beneficial. So Socrates 3 filtered. So you have to learn a way to present the same knowledge in a fashion that will not agitate them, but will make them a reflective sage. And with that knowledge, with that seed sown, and when you continue to do that over a period of years of time, then there is a transformative change. Take, for example, this ahimsa milk that is being done by Shivram Maharaj and his amazing disciples. They started first a cow project. No one was willing to do, no one. And they basically went in losses. They are selling milk at 5 pounds per liter to devotees, which is very expensive, but they managed to find a small group of devotees who will do it as a service to the cows. They are willing to pay extra money. So when they have this small set, then they didn't expand and blasted out. Now we will have many more. They're still pursuing. Now the farms near to them, they are thinking, oh, these guys are doing this, we will also do this. So they also started to create an ahimsa milk. And instead of selling the milk to a specific community, they went to the borough market here in London. And they doubled the price to say 280. But actually no one took their milk. So in spite of them having huge number of resources, they still failed. So then they realized that actually these people, they have something deeper with them. So we are trying to grow organically this farm, and now they are giving one cow, one bull to other farms. And they're telling, oh, we won't teach you how to do this ahimsa milk production unless you take care of one bull. Because everyone wants to take care of the cow. They don't want to take care of the bull. Because bull doesn't give you anything. So Sitaram Prabhu said, if someone takes care of the bull nicely for some good amount of time, then we can trust them, then we train them. And now there are more farms who are doing this. So now the idea was small. The person changed themselves first to fit the idea. Then they didn't want to create a blast. They changed, they were giving education, some simple products out. And this is how sattva is increased slowly over a period of time. When I came to the country back in 2008, I never saw these healthy bars in the shops. Never saw these healthy bars made out of, dates and nuts and just purely dates and nuts. All the bars I saw was all these mixture of some cereals and, all tamasic and rajasic. But now over a period of years, you are seeing, similarly, when Prabhupada came in 60s, then at that time, there was no conception of vegetarianism. But his book, Higher Taste, we had distributed it out in thousands and millions. To an extent that a lot of people then switched to partial vegetarian diet, not fully vegetarian. They found benefits, then their children turned fully vegetarian. So the point is, it happens over a time. It happens first with knowledge. And so first one must get knowledge, and then one must not be reluctant to give out the knowledge. That's where the biggest harm lies. The biggest distress is done to the world, not by the people who are bad, but by the people who have the power in their hands and fail to share the power with other people. So once you have the knowledge, and you will feel it, you after eating gulab jamun, you will know it. You have eaten gulab jamun. So then your responsibility becomes that you have to find time, and you must share it in a fashion which is relevant to the right crowd. Don't follow the herd. Be innovative and try to do something. In this way, you can share the knowledge. Maybe those people are not impacted, but you have sown the seeds in their hearts and mind. And over a period of time, say human life, we have 10 to 20 years of good quality life in youth. So even if we do this till 55 years of age, and even if we manage to plant the seeds in, say, 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, and out of them only 1 or 2 comes up and takes to this lifestyle or changes, then within this period of 30, 40 years, one person like me has managed to change 2 people, 2 or 3 people or 4 people, right from the roots. And imagine if there are more people like me. I have started, then those 2 people are slowly going to change. This is not like network marketing. This is not like I want to make something up very big, very quickly and have 2,000, 3,000 followers. No, that's not the idea. Its question is about the purity. Purity is the actual force. So this is how you are able to not incriminate yourself. into, this big karmic cycle. And anyways, the devotees of the Lord, Krishna protects them. Even if the heavy karma comes their way, Krishna is always there to protect them. But if we don't do, that's why Prabhupada said, that now you have taken, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I have got a lot of fruits. You eat them first. You be satisfied and then distribute them. But oftentimes we find two categories of people in our movements. One is, I want to distribute. I'll make the whole world devotees. Actually, they are not tasting bhakti within themselves. They are not enjoying it. If you enjoy chanting, you will find such a great joy that you will want to do it more and more. So this whole process of enjoying bhakti needs certain time. It's organic growth. In that time phase, you grow as a human being, and then the natural outcome is you are walking in the shops, they come to you and they speak to you. Or they are, you're doing some normal chore of activities at work. They see, oh, this person doesn't eat like this, or this person is, very strict about, what he eats, what he doesn't eat. Or maybe this person is very friendly, I can rely on him. Generally, devotees are as such that other people can come to devotees and they can open their heart out. And this is seen by book distributors, others at work, the other colleagues can come to you and they can actually tell their problems, which they can't speak to the managers. But they'll come to you and they'll eat your hours telling the problems that they're facing. And they don't know why they're telling it to you. They just don't know it. They feel some kind of shelter and protection. And where that shelter and protection is coming from, it's coming from Krishna, but through you. And why? Because you're choosing not to be part of the system, which basically wants to make you not do the right things. Killing cow is an absolute no-no. Killing animals is an absolute no-no. Prabhupada said, till the time the cows are killed, there will be no stopping of wars in the world. Have you seen the stopping of the wars? Continually, there have been wars. Continually. So, I don't know. Those were just my few points, Brandon. You might please add. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
You can't be Kripana. If you know something, you have to share it.
You have, otherwise you become Kripana. You will lose it. You will become a miser.
So Bhishma Dev, who was, let me get the Mahaprasad and CBC.
Okay.
I'll bring
Okay.
your plate as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
What's going on? All good. Good, yeah? Yeah, reply to me.
Brandon Prabhu, are you still here?
Where? You're working with Prabhuji?
Where?
Yes, Prabhu, sorry, our internet connection's really bad right now.
Give me 2 minutes.
But we it was going in and out, but we'll watch the whole thing on the recorded version.
All right. Hare Krishna. Yes, just give me 1 minute. I'll stop this.
Okay, talk to him. I'm going to get Prasad.